And there you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's make sure. Perfect. Okay. Let me just transition that.
So now the question is, are you going to... Your expansions.
All
How do
right.
you rate
So
these?
I think the base, hear me out, I think the base should be a B.
Okay.
I think that's do you agree with that assessment?
Pretty much. It definitely is a good base to start with.
It's the standard. It's the standard to base everything off of, right?
Yep, it sets everything up. Nothing else would exist without it. It's not the
Right,
best, not
exactly.
the worst.
Exactly, just firmly in the middle. Um, so
Burning Crusade.
Burning Crusade. Honestly, I don't. I know for a fact it's not A tier. I know it's not any higher than Warcraft, but it doesn't stick out in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is both a good and a bad thing. It doesn't really do anything memorable, in my opinion.
I mean, Gave
Um,
Civilian has all the Illidan crap that went down in two different storylines depending on where you look.
yeah. Um,
It definitely suffers with a lot of retconning.
right. So, like I said, I know for a fact it is an S tier. Um, I just don't think it makes sense being A tier. But what are your insights?
Like, I could see it being previously, but with everything going back and like changing it, like, oh, you didn't get the full story because you only saw it this side, hurts it
Right, right,
a
right.
lot.
Right. I would say it's also B tier in terms of expansions, just because the first one's always the roughest. They don't really know what they're doing. I would say it was good because it did add new races, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Um, and it had some really good moments. And it brought back, my man Liam O'Brien as Illidan, who would be reprising that role pretty much throughout all the expansions he was in. So I'd say that was pretty good.
Yep. And now we got Wrath of the Lich King.
Yes, I refuse to put it any lower. The lowest I would put this is A, and I would be very upset about that. This
Okay,
was
here's.
peak. This
Okay,
was peak. All right.
I actually have another question for you.
Okay.
Are you going to actually put these expansions in order of which one's higher than the other on the same tiers?
What do you mean?
Like the front, like the way you have it is classics upper
Oh, okay.
B.
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll go with that. I would say the closest to the icon is the lowest. So, like, I would say, kind of a lower B minus,
No,
just because again of.
normally people put like towards the front as the higher end.
Okay, so do I have it right now, or do I need to switch it around
You would
again?
say like the way you have it placed now. You'd say or not Ratha. Burning Crusade's better than Vanilla.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Just because again, this was the standard. This was the
Yeah.
golden standard. This was what literally started everything.
Okay.
Um,
But
by sheer virtue of the opening cinematic of this game, the song that was made, the track, the character it focuses on, the shit that would be referenced from then on out, I refuse to put this any lower than A.
the overpowerness of Death Knights in a virtue.
Exactly. You cannot tell me that this was not an amazing expansion.
Yes, I can. Some of the zones were crap and garbage, but that's not here or
Wow.
there.
Right. So I would say, like, realistically, where would you put Wrath of the Lich King?
Oh, it's still pretty much like A or S.
Okay, okay. So we can both agree that S tier is a pretty
Like,
solid place for it.
yeah, I mostly just I do lowball it a bit in a half-hearted. It's a troll and half-hearted. You definitely got nostalgia goggles, but I was not there while it was current.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Um, let's see. I hate that.
Cataclysm's next.
Let's see. Battle for Azeroth changed the layout of the game cover. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Um, Unfortunately, yeah, I couldn't find anything else for it. Cataclysm. So one thing definitely in its favor, it introduced goblins and worgen,
Yep.
which is pretty dope. Um, I would argue that the opening cinematic was definitely one of the top best out of them. Seeing Deathwing just take flight, fucking dope. Um, Honestly, I would say maybe that's A tier.
Okay.
What's your insight
Because
on that?
my insight would have more on the gameplay virtue of it. Because story wise, it actually had a lot going for it, but
Right.
some stuff had to get dropped and changed and retconned later.
Right. Okay.
Because one of the big things, because people actually have Cataclysm's actually one of the big controversial option ones, where it's
Right.
either really great or god awful, depending on how you look at it. Because one of the big things about it is they redid everything. Like all the several classes got redone to add a new resource mechanic for some. They ended up redoing all the leveling zones, so a lot of stuff
Right.
just got removed or changed entirely.
Right.
There was just a lot to it.
Okay. So, with the game side aspect, never minding the aesthetics and what I enjoyed about it,
Yeah.
what would you say would be reasonable for Cataclysm?
Because oddly enough, Cataclysm was actually my first expansion, but I was only there for like a month.
Right. Okay.
So, and I played Paladin, which got its new holy power resource there.
Right.
I had fun,
Okay.
so it would be like A or B for me.
Okay. I'd say A would be pretty reasonable.
Okay.
I don't think it's S tier. I definitely don't think it's S tier because there's a couple others on here who absolutely outpace it. But I definitely think it followed in the trend of, releasing new classes or features. The story was good, the villain was great. It definitely left a lot of stuff for future games,
Yeah.
which I think is very important.
And it also had the big
Um,
build up for Garage.
Correct, correct.
Which,
Who
speaking
would
of
be a major
Garage,
who would be a major figure for quite a bit.
yep, we got Mr.
Um,
Pandaria.
yes. Um, hmm. Trying to think. Well, obviously one of the biggest selling points, Pandarans, and not only that, but it was a faction that was available for both sides,
Yep,
which was pretty big at the time, if I remember correctly.
yep, and added the
Um,
monk class.
Correct. So in terms of features, I definitely think at the very least B would be appropriate.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. It suffers from me, and this is just it's more so a combination of just what I felt about the expansion, the lore, and honestly my own attention span. It doesn't stick out to me like Frozen Throne or Cataclysm did, you know?
okay.
Like it definitely had good lore, I would imagine. It just doesn't stick out to me like, Battle for Azeroth, Legion or Dragonlands or even Shadowlands for that matter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um
It's one of those things like a lot of its appeal was actually the side content away from the main story.
right.
Because there's
Um
actually an entire quest line where you actually unlocked a farm and actually just farmed.
Which is dope. That's actually really cool, especially for a player like me who loves little shit like that.
Yeah,
Um, so I definitely won't rate it a C. It's definitely higher than a C for sure.
yeah.
Um, but is it? Because it's not better than Cataclysm, so it's either going to be here or here, in my opinion.
Okay, because after I quit in Kata, I did come back at like the very very end of Miss Pandaria,
Right, right.
and I
Okay.
had fun. It would be an A for me easily.
Okay. You know what? On virtue of what it offered and the fact that its only sin story-wise is that it's just kind of forgettable to me, I'll give it a low A. I'll give it a low A, for sure.
Yep.
Um, all right, next. Warlords of Draenor.
Yep.
To its credit, because that's what we're going to do with this. We're going to go with the positives first, negatives, and when we're going to try to do another positive.
Okay.
Just in that way we're not completely shitting on these games.
Yeah.
To its credit, it tried something really cool.
It tried
I
something
think
really
it's,
risky.
yeah, it tried something really risky, and unfortunately, with risk, may not come reward. Um,
But thank God we got the reward of Legion.
yes. So, by virtue of the fact that
Legion would not have
Warlords walked,
happened
yeah,
without it.
Warlords walked so Legion could run. Let's put it that way.
Warlord tripped and fell so Legion could run.
Yeah. I would say the highest I would be willing to rate it is here. I would say, in my personal opinion, just because again they tried the risk and it didn't pan out, I would say C or low B. Belief, Blood Crusade would be best.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I would okay. Warlords was actually my first full expansion I actually went through,
Okay.
and one of the things that actually gets undervalued a lot,
Right.
ironically, is its lack of content. That actually is
Right.
a weird positive, as we end up
Okay.
finding out in later expansions. Because due to its lack
Okay.
of content, people went out and explored more, found more stuff to do, leveled more
Right.
characters.
Right.
Because there was not that endless grind that future expansions kept trying to pour in, people were able to just have fun.
Okay. So, okay, I could see that. It definitely seems like with some of these expansions, they tried new stuff and they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But because of the lack, okay, I could see what you're saying.
Yeah, because
Um,
Legion introduced artifact power. People didn't mind it because they made the grind easier over time. Battle
right.
for Azeroth introduced
Right.
Azerite, which ended up having to be its own separate grind. Which sure it
Oh,
got
hang on,
easier
I got a
over.
text. Hang on, I got a text from Mirrodin here. Hang on. Okay, I'll get more Azurite Mirrodin. Sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
yeah, but even though it did get a bit easier over time, there was plenty of stuff that were required content you essentially had to do for other characters that were like a whole month of grinding just to do something you to get something you already had on the character, which de-incentivized having an alt.
Right.
And then
Okay.
Shadowlands happened, same fucking shit. Only this
Right.
time, they made it so that the stuff you had to return for the grind took up bag space until you turned it in, which is even
Okay.
worse. And then
Right.
Dragonflight
Okay.
finally eased up on it.
Okay. So, at the end of the day, where would you rate Warlords of Draenor? Do you
I
think?
personally would actually put it in like bottom or mid A out of my rose tinted goggles, but I'll let you
Okay.
put it in B.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I don't see it being A tier because again, at the end of the day, you just can't overlook the fact that they took a risk and it failed,
Yeah.
which I applaud them for. Not many companies will take a risk and say, "Hey, we screwed up." But I definitely agree with you that it did enough right that I think it's higher than C, for sure.
Yeah. They just it like it's again, it's just one of those things like lack of content is a huge negative for a lot of things. But after
Right.
several of the past expansions we recently went through, I look back and like I had a lot of fun in Warlords of Draenor because there was nothing to do and I just did
Right.
shit for the hell of it.
Right. And at the end
And
of
I
the
had a
day,
lot of
that's a
friends
big
doing it.
right. And that's a big factor for what I'm doing for this list. Like, I'm sure that if I played Wrath of the Lich King, I would have loved it because I loved Arthas. I loved the Scourge. If I
Yeah.
played Catechism, I would have loved it. If I played Mists of Pandera, are you fucking kidding me? Brewmaster was my favorite fucking hero
You can
in the
still go through
Rexar
that
thing.
stuff too.
Huh?
You can still go through all that stuff.
Exactly. So like it's so for me, I agree with you that the fun aspect is important. Even if the expansion is dog shit,
Because
looking at you. Um
ironically, one of the funniest things to come out of it is when now that they added chromie time for leveling, where you can do any prior expansion as your leveling thing,
right.
people are looking at it as like, okay, what is the best place? Where's the best place to go to level up quickly?
Right.
Warlords of Draenor.
Which in
It is
its own way
ironically
it
the
found
best
its
way to power level. It is like the
yeah.
best way to power level, unironically.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because of the impact on the community in retrospect. Absolutely. Low B. You know what? You know what? I would argue that it's even above Burning Crusade
Yeah, everyone actually says
because
avoid Outland unless you really want to do the story.
because I actually remember stuff from Warlords of Draenor. I don't remember anything from this expansion at all. Um,
I remember stuff in the books that retconned it.
yeah. Honestly, looking at it, I'm depending on where the others go. I might end up moving the burning the this one to C
Yeah.
just because of how forgettable it was. But it's not so egregious that it's the D. Um, so for the time being, let's actually move this away.
And
And
return to it.
yeah, we'll return to it. We'll return to it. Um,
Now we got
Legion.
Legion. The beast.
Legion. The lowest I would say in my initial thing is a high A. I
That's
would
a
say
war
that would
crime.
be the
That is a
lowest.
war crime, and you know it.
You think so? Really?
Yeah, it is S tier easily.
You think. Now, this might be us battling. Um, I'm trying to think. What were some of the big flaws with Legion? I can't remember
Um,
what some of my. Oh, we got an ad break going on, so
okay.
we're just gonna hold off here. Um, so far, what do you think, though, dude? Is this been pretty contentious? Do you have any major disagreements yet, or has it all been pretty fair? You think?
It's been pretty fair, but yeah,
Fair enough.
but when it comes down like the fan base, you, you might get some death threats for putting Cataclysm so high.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
Again, it's a contention thing due to gameplay changes.
And you know what? That's fine. I have
But you
not
didn't
played.
play it. That doesn't
Yeah,
matter to you.
as a disclaimer, my biggest things in terms of the aesthetics are my biggest things are aesthetics, their impact on the lore, what they did for players coming in as a non-player who might be interested in playing. Because when you think about it, Wrath of the Lich King added a brand new fucking class, the fucking Death Knight. They added an entire new class, in addition to covering one of my personal favorite characters. Alright?
Yeah.
Legion brought in the fucking weapon skins, and we went through that. We did a pseudo tier list with that shit.
We didn't even
Which
finish them all.
which you better fucking believe we are absolutely going to do an official tier list at some point,
Yeah.
gang. But like it's not higher because again it's just not my thing, and that's okay.
I mean, they
I'm
brought in the
not
Demon
shitting on it.
Hunters.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's not like it was a bad thing to do, you know. All right, ad break over.
Yeah.
um
Like, literally, here's the argument. Depending on
right,
who you ask, either one is higher.
right,
So it's literally comes down to a preference because Legion is both expansions are seen as near perfect expansions.
right, okay. Yeah, then at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. Looking at it, they added new class, they added a new class, they added killer cosmetics, which I personally have verified a few of.
Yep.
They centered it on my boy, fucking Illidan.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, you know what? Fair. Fair, 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 fair. That's absolutely S tier. Thank you.
Yeah. And just as a side note, and one thing that people do give Cataclysm credit for,
Yeah, yeah?
bring in Transmog.
Yes.
Battle
All
for
right.
Azeroth.
Battle for Azeroth. So this this one is tough for me, right?
Yeah, this one's another contentious
Because
one.
because on the one hand, and Kaya, I kind of agree with you. Let me explain my reasoning here, all right? This is my initial opinion. You may not agree with it one way or the other, but here's my reasoning, right? Ultimately, one of its biggest selling points is was the premise of us going back to the spirit of Warcraft, right? To the RTS days where it's the Horde versus the Alliance. That's the kind of shit that I got into. For fuck's sakes, I thought that this was Blizzard saying, hey, we're going to work on Warcraft 4, the RTS. I was hyped for it. And we
No,
definitely
you
didn't
didn't.
get that. We definitely didn't get what I would have hoped for. But arguably, it has the second best cutscene in the entirety of the franchise in terms of introductory cinematics, right? It introduced a decent amount of lore. It brought us a bunch of cool characters. Baswandi, for one, he was a fucking treat to
Oh,
watch.
he was the
Um,
best.
it did bring in races that were kind of forgettable as far as that goes.
The Volpira,
Um,
the Mechanomes, the Colterian humans that count as a separate race from normal humans because they're fat.
it's weird. Um,
Actually
and
made the Zandalari
ultimately,
trolls though.
and ultimately, another one of its biggest sins is that it is kind of the downfall of Sylvanas as a character. Like we've been seeing kind of hints and pieces, right, of Sylvanas being a piece of shit,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until Battle of Azeroth that her full-on decline started happening.
And
So
then
I
everyone's
can,
just sitting there watching. Yeah, everything's fine, even though
yeah,
that is completely out of character for like 80% of the cast.
right. And I will say, that again, it still outpaces this one because I still fucking remember it.
Hey, Sourfang, you're the best story in Battle for Azeroth.
Blood Elves, am I a joke to you?
The Draenei are there too.
um,
Shadowlands is next.
uh, Shadowlands, I cannot in good conscience rate you above a D. And here is my reasoning for this, right?
The Jailer. And his nipples.
Yes. The Shadowlands, we will disrupt the formula because I think that the positive is such a key point that it emphasizes why it's in D. It was so fucking stupid. It had so many contrivances story-wise. It's just... What makes it D tier is not what it gave us, but what it could have given us. Right?
Yes.
We had the introduction for the afterlife of fucking Azeroth. How could you go wrong with that shit? We have fucking Feywild. We have Celestials. We have fucking undead necromancer Game of Thrones type shit. We have vampiric fucking like upper class vampire people. Like, how could you go fucking wrong? And they did, and it makes me so sad. Because there was so many good moments. Sylvanas getting redeemed. Anduin being corrupted. You can't tell me that that was fucking dope. Seeing fucking Uther deal with the tragedy of his student, his friend, killing him. Like, so many good moments, and they just shat the bed so hard.
Because the Jailer is always 5 steps ahead.
Fuck.
And he ultimately loses because we just kicked the door in and stabbed him to death.
He had no business losing. Fuck. That is why this game is D tier. Like, it makes me so sad. Because the potential that we had that we didn't get. Because at the very least, right? At the very least, Warlords of Draenor took a risk that was fun and exciting. There's an alternate timeline where none of the key events from the first Warcraft game happened, right? That's fucking dope.
Yep.
But it's also contrived. That's where it failed. Shadowlands, we have all this great lore, but what if we said, fuck it?
Yep. Fuck it. None of it mattered because the Jailer did it all.
God.
And now we have Dragonflight.
Dragonflight. Definitely a return to form after Shadowlands. What would I rate this? A bit of a hot take. I don't necessarily think it's S tier. I don't necessarily think it's S tier. It's definitely... It can't be any lower than A tier. I refuse to put it any lower than top of A.
Okay.
I refuse. So you're going to have to fight me to put it at bottom S, but the lowest it gets is here. I refuse to go any lower.
I mean, I can't really say if it is S or A, simply because it is current. We're going through it right now.
Correct.
And it could be that PTSD of how bad Shadowlands is, we might be overhyping this shit.
Yes. Realistically, I think at the very least, if we take a practical look at it, we probably would be looking at here, or maybe even here, potentially. But as it stands right now, I cannot in good faith put it any lower than... Fucker. I cannot put it any lower than here right now. Right? And Kaya brings up a great point, that it mostly brought us what was promised. So it was a return to form for the expansions.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's kind of my definitive opinion. And you know what? I may have rose-colored glasses for Wrath of the Lich King, but that's fine. This is my humble, subjective opinion.
Yep.
And it could very well change. It could very well change when we continue to look into Dragonflight and War Within and the other... I think you said that there were at least 2 other planned so far?
It's a total of 3.
So we will definitely be doing this list again at some point in the future. And who knows, we might even change up this listing. Because, again, I might remember what the fuck this game brought, besides these new factions. I think that's gonna be a standing joke with me that this one was just so fucking forgettable, and I
And it
hate it
was the
because
Illidan
I
killing story.
yeah like okay and
Kill
like
Jaden showed up. Uh,
okay,
we we did a lot of timey-wimey bullshit as night elves for a little bit.
which was weird, but it's okay. It just I don't know. It just to me seemed very forgettable. And that's a me thing. That's not necessarily to say that this expansion is bad. Like from a fundamental game point, it offered new races. It was the first ever expansion, which was a good path to take where they added more content.
Yeah.
So objectively as an expansion, I would argue that potentially we're looking at maybe high B. But for me personally as it stands, I can't in good conscience put it any higher than C.
Yep. Okay. So here's our tier list for after the slideshow.
After the slideshow, as of 6:51 p.m. MST, the 12th of July 2024. All of y'all motherfuckers watching this after the facts, ready to chew out our grits when the new game comes out, write that date down, 7/12/2024. All right?
Okay. So now we got. So I got three other tier lists we could potentially do, or the
All
mystery
right.
thing I worked on the side.
What is the mystery thing like a slideshow or what is it?
It's another slideshow, but it's like a more
Okay.
for fun slideshow rather than a serious one.
Okay, you know what? Let's well, we had to absolutely do the tier list for the expansions. That
Yeah,
was a requirement
because the other
considering we
three
just got done
tier
with
lists
this.
I got are player races, the
Ooh.
classes, and villains.
Ooh. Mm. How many slides is the slideshow?
It is 12.
12.
And we could
Okay.
probably bang that one out really fast if we wanted to.
Yeah, let's do the slideshow real quick.
Okay.
Because I definitely want to do one more of those tier lists because those actually sound really
Alright.
good.
Sent you
I
the
think I might
link.
actually want to do the villain one personally.
Okay.
Um,
I might have to open it up possibly if you can't get in.
yeah, that's fine.
So let's see.
Okay, visit site. Access denied.
Okay.
I can request access. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, because I'm trying to.
I have requested access, my friend. And to the loyal followers who have continued to watch this, I just want to take an aside. Kaya especially has been super awesome watching this entire history stuff go down.
Okay, you should be able to
I just want to say
gain
thank you,
access now.
personally, very much. Because y'all have been fucking troopers. Oh, God.
You just
Oh,
saw what it
gang,
was.
gang, I'm just gonna transition to the starting screen, and y'all are gonna see why I burst out laughing. This is God, God Christ. Oh, golly.
Yeah, and I had
Okay.
my fiance help out with some of these.
Oh no,
They're all
yes.
themed. And
Okay.
just a side note, there's a house
Oh,
rule. There's a house rule I personally always enforce for like the Smash or Pass or these kinds of games is
yeah.
the person who has to ask always has to answer too.
Okay,
So both of
so
us are going in.
so both of us are doing this. All right.
Yes.
Okay, gang. Are you ready for Bang Mary Kill Warcraft Edition? For those who might live under a rock, the rules are pretty simple. You have three people. You have three options. Each person gets a singular option. No takesies backsies.
Yeah.
Warcraft Edition. Let's do this.
First one, Worst War Chief.
Fuck. Well, I'm gonna kill Gul'dan.
Okay.
That's just without hesitation.
Actually, same.
Oh, fuck.
Isn't so now it's like Garage or Sylvanas?
I think I could bang Garrosh in a one night stand and just be done with it. Like I get the sense that he'd be tolerable for a night and then that's it. And like as awful as Sylvanas was, I get the feeling that if she was truly romantic with someone, she would treat them well.
I
I don't
mean, we
know.
got
I just get that
Nathanos.
vibe from her. Huh?
I mean, there's Nathanos, so there's.
Very true. So, marry Sylvanas, bang Garrosh, kill Gul'dan.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with that too.
For sure. Um, and pretty much the same logic. I mean, fuck Gul'dan. That's just a given.
And
Fuck
that's specifically
Gul'dan.
movie Gul'dan too, because the Warcraft movie just got back on Netflix.
Oh shit! No kidding.
Yep.
That's
So if you
crazy.
want to see the movie, now's the time.
I will say this. I went with it on one of my birthdays with my dad when it came out. He knows nothing about Warcraft. I told him that it's a little iffy on the lore. He said that as a fantasy movie, it was pretty good. As a fantasy movie, it was very good.
Really,
Um,
Kaya?
yeah, he liked it.
No, look at the chat.
Kill Gul'dan. Really?
Bang
Okay.
Garage or Mary Garage. Wow.
Interesting.
All right, ready for panel
Okay.
two?
Yes. Oh god damn it.
Okay, I just want to make note that that model job there for the jailer, that's the beta design of the jailer with the beard.
See, that would have been so fucking cool. That would have been such a cool design. Why did they get rid of that?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
allegedly beta design.
All right. I'm pretty sure y'all know my answers to this one. Kill the
Kill
jailer.
jailer.
Cause fuck him. Ashvane is not tolerable as a person, but again,
She's
I
a
could
toxic
probably
bitch.
I could probably stomach her toxicity long enough to bang her.
Yeah.
And
Mary
I'm gonna say it again,
Sylvanas.
Mary Sylvanas. Like if she's committed to you romantically, I think that she has the protective waifu instincts.
Yeah.
All right, and there was
Wait,
no one else I'd
Mary
rather have
the
protect me.
jailer?
What?
Kaya. Kill Sylvanas,
Yo,
bang Ashbane, marry the jailer so she can rule the afterlife.
oh, it's the beard. Okay, I get it. I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it, Kaya.
I
That
mean,
beard is banging. The beard stays on.
yeah. Next panel,
All right.
the Windrunner sisters.
Damn. Oh.
And just as a side note, Valyra is the one who was in the Army of the Light with Turalyon. And
Okay.
she actually has void powers now. She's the leader of the Void Elves.
Okay.
And just as a side note, all three of them have been married at least at one point.
Right. Okay. Hmm. This is tough. I'd have to say kill Sylvanas
Kill Sylvanas. Might
because
bang
at this.
Illyria and go with Varessa.
Okay, you're gonna bang Illyria and marry Varessa. Okay.
Because I'm not sure if I could stand Void Tentacles for too long.
Well, hang on now. Hang on. Void
Tentacles
tentacles.
is Void Tentacles is like a common thing with Void powers.
And who's the void one again?
Illyria.
Illyria. Marry her. Bang Varessa. Because I'm shameless in what I love, and I will not apologize for it. I will not apologize for it. Oh,
Which
okay. All
Sylvanas
right.
do you do?
Marry Pre-Banshee.
Yeah, marry the living one.
Kill. Hang on. Hmm. Hang on. Wait a minute.
You're thinking about it.
I mean. This is a bit of a hot take. Oh, fuck. Because they both have their pros and cons, right? Don't you judge me. Don't you dare judge me, sir.
Because here's the thing. When are
Right?
you ever going to
Okay.
get a chance to bang a ghost?
Exactly! Fucking exactly! Yeah, I gotta kill this Sylvanas again. I'm sorry. Marry Pre-Banshee because you know she's gonna take good care of you.
The
She
question
knows
is
how to
she
use
a
a bow.
screamer?
Huh?
The question is she a screamer?
I mean,
It's a
duh.
Banshee joke, yeah. Shit.
All right. Oh God. Okay.
Okay, the Elemental Lords.
Fuck. I'm trying to remember because this was a while ago in our slides.
Yeah, so
Um,
Ragnaros, Alkazir, Tharsane.
Kill Tharsane.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. Just aesthetically, I don't like the purples. I don't like the purple and red, but I love these two style. Like that's just straight up Hell Pit, and that's just fucking dope. Um, I don't know. Marry the Wind guy. I still can't remember his name. Fuck. And it's garage logic. I think I could put up with Ragnaros for one night. I think.
I'm actually gonna kill Ragnaros because I'm not sure if I can deal with touching the
You
fire.
think?
I mean, think about it.
Oh,
He's
oh, you
fire.
cut out there,
He's
buddy.
literal fire.
Yeah, you cut out there, bud.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna kill Ragnaros because picture cuddling literally your fireplace.
I mean, what's life without a little danger? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay.
So I might actually marry Tharzane.
You think?
Yeah, I mean she's actually pretty chill as a character.
That's fair. Hmm.
So, which means I'm banging Alkazir and he's gonna blow me away.
Ah! Love it. Alright.
Alright, next panel.
Right. So these are all possessed, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
right?
The talking weapons. So Zealotjohn,
Fuck.
Thakil, and a Lunith.
I'm trying to remember who's who. This one is the Cthulhu-looking motherfucker. This is fucking a demon or some shit. This is like a...
Thakil was Archimonde's teacher before he died and
Got
became a
it.
floating skull.
Okay.
Lunith is a actual disembodied spirit from another dimension trapped in a staff by Medivh's mom.
Okay.
And Zealotjohn is potentially an old god that got trapped in a knife because the other old gods got pissed at her.
Hmm. Kill Zealotjohn.
Okay. Honestly, I'm gonna kill Lunith.
Okay. I'm gonna marry a Lunith,
Okay.
because all I ask is what them tentacles do. What them tentacles do.
I might actually marry Thakil.
You think?
He's a master summoner. I could get all the succubi I want with him.
Oh, but that's cheating.
I know.
That's cheating, and you damn well know it.
I mean, is it cheating if you count Zealotjohn with all the tentacles she can summon?
I mean, that's
You
not
gotta
cheating.
do a little
That's
give and
just a
take
fetish.
there.
That's just a fetish there, my guy.
Yeah.
I know what I'm about. All right,
Yeah.
and I am proud about what I am about.
Yeah, so I'm banging Zealotjohn.
Oh no!
The love triangle.
Ah, damn it! Ah. Marry Tyrande, because she is fine as fuck.
Okay.
I don't know. She just seems like she'd take care of you, you know? Fuck. I hate to do this, but I gotta kill Illidan. I just think he would be too rough, man. I think he'd be way too into it and way too rough. I don't think he would respect consent.
I'm actually killing Tyrande.
What?
Okay, she only mellowed out during Dragonfight, but throughout the rest of everything, she's low-key been kind of a bitch to the player the whole time.
Ah, that's valid.
Yeah.
That's valid. Look, I'm sorry, Kaya. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I'm probably gonna bang Illidan and marry Malfurion.
Yeah, like, there's no winning this one. There's no winning this one.
Yeah.
I don't care what sexuality you are. You are not winning this love triangle. What the fuck?
What? Oh, next one?
Oh, God.
Okay, we can skip this one if you want.
No, I want to go for this. It's just like, what the fuck? Okay. So we got Knowles, Warcraft Kobolds.
And
And Trog.
Trogs.
What the fuck are the Trog?
They're underground dwelling creatures that invaded Nomergon that are immune to radiation somehow.
All right. Well, I don't
I'm
know
killing the
them,
Trogs.
so yeah. So killing Trogs. Yeah, that's fair. Um. Hmm.
And I guess bang the Cobalt, marry the Knoll.
I would honestly say marry the Kobold and bang the Knoll for the simple reason that kobolds work underground. They have access to a lot of wealth. I think he would be a very financially stable partner.
The only thing is that they have a really big thing with candles.
Yeah.
One of their key phrases, take candle.
Yeah. But I could live with it, I think.
Okay. Witch Elf.
Oof. Oh, God. Okay. Um, hmm. Kill the Nightborn.
I'm killing Druid of the Flame.
Okay.
Bang the Void Elf, marry the Nightborn.
Okay. I think bang Druid of the Flame and marry the Void Elf.
Okay.
Just stay dead. God damn it.
Are you enjoying these themes?
Yes, yes I am. And just for the sake of it, I am killing Zavas because fuck him.
Yeah,
That fucker came back way too many
yeah,
times.
kill Xavius.
Marrying Kel'Thuzad because I do rather like his character before they fucked it over.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't
And
really do
bang
too bad in
Hakar.
Shadowlands. It's just the jailer just kind of showed up and screwed over the ending.
Yeah.
And Hakar would be interesting. It's just my hatred for Xavius is higher than Hakar.
Right. Ooh, okay. You're asking me to bring out my inner furry here, dude.
Yep.
Hmm.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Kill Vulpera, bang Worgen, marry Pandaren.
You know what? I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Pandaren seem like they're more stable when it comes to incomes, right? Like they just like you just have a housewife who's just like, "Yes, I did take care of the bills. You are okay." Oregon
I
will
mean, are
just
you
be
really going to
fun.
marry a British person?
Oh
That's what
fuck,
the
that's right.
Worgen are.
Hold up. No, 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 hold up. That fuck, they have that accent.
Yes,
They have that accent.
yes, they do. You forgot about the
Fuck.
accent.
Oh. Fuck. I know, Kaya, but that British accent, though. I know the tail is a big selling point. I love me a good tail, don't get me wrong, but damn.
Here's another thing about the Pandaren. Some of them are red panda with the red panda tail.
Okay, yeah. Nope, that settles it. Yep, yep, yep. They get the tail. Get the tail! Listen, man, I know what kind of sexual deviant I am. I have no shame in it.
I mean, also on the side note, the Worgen can go back to human, so they can go back and forth.
That is true.
Yep.
Is that the last one?
Yeah, that's the last one.
All right. Well, that was pretty fun.
Yep.
One more tier list. So let's do the villain ones
Yep.
because I think that is pretty linked to the
The story.
expansions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tier list maker. All right. Are there any that we're missing here? So you might have to help me refresh. You might have to help refresh my memory a little bit.
Yeah, I will. But this is essentially the major villains, not any of the side ones.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. So let's.
Yeah, first icon on here is just a fellow one, just so that they had a good thumbnail.
Okay. Um. Let's see here. Okay, interesting categories. Okay.
Wait a minute, where the hell is Xavius? I don't actually see him on here.
Is Xavius on here?
No, he's not. They forgot Xavius.
Oh shit. Did you want to find? Oh wait, hang on. How do you spell that name? Do we have the Dragonflight villains?
We actually we don't. It looks like it's just up to the jailer.
Well, to be fair, the story isn't quite done, so we don't have a lot of context. So I'd say
Yeah.
this is one where we can leave it out.
Yeah.
To be fair.
All right. You may want to swap back on your stream.
Yeah. Hang on. There we go. All right, so for our categories here, we got S, A, not really great, but not bad. Bad stories that were tolerable, very disappointing stories. Pure trash, don't know well enough to say.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Who is the GOAT? Who is the standard, do you think? I would say arguably Gul'dan was a starting point because he
Yeah.
was the first major villain. He was the first villain in Warcraft 1. He has been a consistent villain throughout multiple entries of the franchise. I'd say he's kind of the golden standard
Well, here's the
when it comes to
thing.
that.
Do you want to have one Gul'dan or two? Because we do have two Gul'dans.
Where's the other Gul'dan?
I don't. I think they only put it in one, not forgetting about the earlier one.
Oh, right.
Because he never showed up in Warcraft previously. Because he died in Warcraft in the flashback in
Right,
Warcraft 3.
okay, hang on. Yeah, hang on. Oops, sorry, gang. Let's see, do we have an icon for him?
Actually, why don't we use the Warcraft 3 model just to differentiate?
Yeah! Hang on, where is it? Where is it? I know that sucker's here somewhere. Ooh, hold
Oh,
up.
there we go.
There we go. Ah, damn it.
Oh,
Hang
it's
on,
so
let
tiny.
me see. Can we... Nope,
Nope.
that's way too small. So yeah, we're gonna have to go with the Warcraft 3 one. Wherever it is.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Let's see. Kidding me? Did they only give us the super tiny ones? Okay, yeah,
That
we're just
works.
gonna have to go with this one.
You what?
Alright. Sorry, everyone on the stream. We're just closing this down because we just got to make sure we add this file here. Alright.
So we
So we're
got the
going to
two
get rid of...
Gul'dans.
Yeah, so we're going to get rid of him.
So
And
the
we're going to put the
original
OG
Gul'dan that kind of
Gul'dan.
helped cause everything with the assistance of Sargeras.
Yes. And arguably, I would say Sargeras is another S tier. I
Yeah.
would argue. This is Sargeras, right?
No,
If I remember...
that's Kil'jaeden.
Or no, that's...
Sargeras is
Kil'jaeden.
by Sylvanas.
By Sylvanas. Oh, here we go. So, I would argue that Sargeras... Because Sargeras is the OG bad from, like, a good majority of the expansions. He
Yeah.
was only defeated in, like... He was only defeated in Battle for Azeroth. And
No, he was
that's
defeating
kind
Legion.
of... Legion, my bad.
And players never actually fought him because it took other Titans to deal with him.
Yes. And I would argue that Gul'dan is also S tier because he is the OG minion of Sargeras. He was he was the first major villain in Warcraft 1. He was a major villain in Warcraft 2, and he was even referenced in many Warcraft games, and as we all know, he was brought back in Draenor and Legion. So,
Oh yeah.
I would argue that they set the standard. So anything lower or higher than them is based on that standard.
Yeah.
All right,
Archimonde.
Archimonde.
He is a go-getter.
Yes, he is a go-getter. But is he S tier or is he A tier? I definitely wouldn't say lower than A tier.
Yeah, I would
for
definitely
sure.
say A tier because he at
So
least
for
goes
sure
in
A
and does shit.
Yes, for sure. Which is arguably better than someone else on this list.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, for sure. And he was actually a major villain in Warcraft 3. So you know what? I'll give him that. I'll give him A tier.
Yep, and he even came back, and we had to fight him a few times. And he was big enough villain in Warcraft 3 where they literally recreated the fight for us to deal with him again.
Yeah.
There's
All right.
There's actually a raid where you go back to Mount Hyjal and fight him personally.
Yes. So, okay, cool. Arthas. Arthas. Chat, when I tell you that I am an Arthas simp, I love this man.
Yes, you do.
I love his story so fucking much because it is such a classical story. And he drops a line where he says, I would bear any curse to save my homeland. You cannot tell me that that line does not become a banger when this man endures Frostmourne. The
Only to then turn
cursed.
around and destroy his homeland.
Yes, to become the very thing he was trying to save it from. Like, how can you not put him at the top of S tier so far? Like, I refuse to. I will fight someone who says that Arthas is any lower than S tier. Um,
I mean, he's lower than S tier once you get involved with Shadowlands.
yeah, but
We ignore that.
yeah, it's a silly place. We don't go there. Um,
Like,
Second
almost
thought, let's not
anything
go
as soon
there.
as Shadowlands involved, they go down to pure trash.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, next.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, that just goes without saying. We're skipping ahead for that one. That just goes without saying, gang. Fuck him. Um, this is the
Ajara.
lady. What was her name?
Ajara.
Ajara. Definitely A tier. Because it kind of follows a similar vein, but what I think detracts from her story a little bit is she is actually evil. Like she's actually a piece of shit.
She actually
And
reaped what she sowed.
yeah, and it's what I like about Arthas, because they're very similar characters, right? They are both characters who brought their kingdoms to ruin, right?
Yeah.
They tried to stop a calamity
No, she
that was
didn't.
that
She
overcame
actually caused
everything that they
it.
knew. But she was the cause of it. So I think that
No, like,
that
she
does
did not
detract.
even. She was not even trying to stop it. She was actively supporting the calamity.
Yeah, and it's just but aesthetically, she is brilliant. She is a queen who maintained herself as a queen. She made a deal. She is a boss lady. She is a go-getter. Like she has that boss bitch energy. Like you cannot deny that she is the boss. So absolutely high A tier, but I do not think that she is S tier because she just has too many flaws to make her a good character. Like, I'm not saying that bad guys can't be S tier characters, but comparing these two who have somewhat familiar stories and origins, I gotta go with A tier. I'm sorry, Kaya, that she's your wife, but I gotta stand by my convictions on this
All right.
one.
And, you know, since we brought him in for this, Xavius, since he's linked to her at the start.
Would it be petty of me to just say that it was a very disappointing story because this fucker won't fucking die?
And he kept
No.
dying in different ways.
Um, I would say he just doesn't have an impact on me. You know what I mean?
If anything, it's surprising he
Like,
didn't come back for Shadowlands.
yeah, like, and if anything, that was, you know what? That's, fuck, I don't know, dude. Like, it's not disappointing because it's funny that he keeps coming back, but it's just, it's not
And he keeps coming
really.
back from, okay, he's dead for good this time. I'm back. Motherfucker, how?
Yeah, so I'd
Shrugs.
say bad stories that were tolerable because I at least remember him. I at least remember him, right? You know? So
And he actually got a
that's
kill in.
right, for sure. Um
Alright. Okay, that's Cho'Gall.
Cho'Gall, oh fuck. I know that he was relevant,
Like,
but I
he was,
can't
like, he mostly was in side stories, so a lot of his stuff got skipped over. But he essentially
right.
became the leader of the Twilight cult that supported Deathwing. So he essentially is like old god stuff.
Honestly, like I don't know enough about him.
Which is
You know
fair,
what I
because
mean?
that's
Like
on me. That's on
yeah,
me.
because he's a bit of a side character, like, and that's fine. That's not to say that he's like the jailer. Like the jailer is just pure trash. But like, I don't know.
Cthulhu.
Anyway, Cthulhu. Kind of middling a little bit.
I mean, that's kind of going to be the thing with a lot of the old gods, because they're kind of just trapped in their jail cells for a large portion of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah. Like, Okay, if that's the case, if he's mid, then we got to switch this up because, again, I at least remember what makes Xavier special, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a big thing for me. Like you may laugh at it and you may mock it, but the fact that I knew Xavius going through this entire fucking slideshow and still could not remember Cthulhu was clear evidence that Xavius left a bigger impact on me as a villain.
I mean, it's kind of easier to get to be a bigger impact of a villain when you keep coming back versus being a one-off.
Right.
Like, sure, he's a major one-off, but that side story asshole kept coming back. Like, people
Right.
remember Millhouse Manastorm. People don't remember
Right.
Dita.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Deathwing. This is tough.
Because Dragonflight actually really helped his story, too.
Yes. So definitely, I think he is bottom S tier for sure. I don't, cause see, here's the thing. All right, Kai. Here's the thing. Like, a big thing with his character. Again, for me, I've never played World of Warcraft, so I was only introduced to this story as part of this slideshow. Um, the opening cinematic set the tone for him, right? He's this primeval force, right? He is a pure cataclysm made incarnate. When you think of him, you think of villains like Kai from Kung Fu Panda 3. He is not a person so much as he is a force of nature, right?
Yeah.
And but he's not as pivotable. He's not as crucial or pivotal to the lore as these other three because these two arguably and not very arguably indirectly caused this to happen. Deathwing wasn't
He,
really caused by that.
he was caused by the
And
old gods.
yes, he was. So if anything, you kind of have these fuckers to thank for it, but again,
Oh, no, we actually know exactly which old god did him.
okay, perfect. We'll get to that then when we get to it. But arguably, I would also say that what's also just as important is because he gets not redemption per se, but he gets expanded lore in the most recent expansion. We see tension between his sons. We see the Black Dragonflight get redeemed. Like that's good fucking shit.
And also
And
the
it wouldn't have
devastation he caused to the Blue Dragonfly and how deeply it ran.
exactly, exactly. So I think in terms of what we're looking at villain wise, I would not be willing to put him any lower than the lowest S so far. We might find someone who's lower, but so far he's currently the lowest S.
Yep.
And you're not wrong, Kaya. He wanted to be a hero. He wanted to be a really shitty hero, for sure. Um,
Garrosh.
Garage. Bit of a hot take. Hmm. I'm conflicted with this one, right?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate Garash's story. He ultimately was a war chief that didn't want to be war chief. He was put in a position that he wanted nothing to do with,
Yeah.
right? He made the best of it, but they pulled a Sylvanas, and to me, they kind of switched his character out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
There's actually a
It's such
reasoning for that
whiplash.
came out. Like a lot
Okay.
of the writing team during Cataclysm that were trying to build him up, they were not
Yeah, yeah.
communicating, so stories really flip flopped there.
Ah, yeah. So that's a shame because he's definitely not bad stories that were tolerable. He did not have a bad story. He had a great story. He had a great premise. He was a war chief that didn't want to be war chief. It got to him, and he made a lot of shitty decisions. You can't like Sylvanas and hate Garage because that's two sides of the same coin.
But
Albeit one is a lot more shittily written than the other. Um,
and he's also the only person known to actually absorb the full power of an old god and not be corrupted or controlled by it.
which honestly elevates him above bad story
Yeah.
for sure. That's a feat of power in and of itself. Um, so I would argue that that's what we're looking at for that. Illidan,
Illidan.
oof, I gotta put him
Well,
here because
here's
it's
the
a
thing.
very
Here's the
yeah
thing.
yeah
Are you
okay
going
okay
to
okay.
count Legion as part of this, or just how he was presented for Burning Crusade, where he was a villain? Because that's two different rankings to me.
Kaya, that's a very truthful statement. I feel you on that, but we're not doing that. At least publicly, anyway.
Oh, God.
um, that's such a good point. And arguably,
Because
Crusade Illidan is the same as Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne Illidan because they were both serving Sargeras at the time.
yeah,
Fuck, that's tough.
because
I
Legion
don't have.
elevated him hard. Because
I would
until
say
Legion, he was basically scapegoating off of his presence in Warcraft 3. Personally,
I say we follow the rule of it as a whole. We
okay,
take both of them together.
okay,
So arguably, I would say, hmm, I think given the context of that, we have to take into account that his origin was not great. He honestly was kind of a Looney Tune in
oh,
terms of his
he was batshit
introduction.
insane in Burning Crusade.
But
Because if it wasn't for Legion, he would probably be sitting right next to Cthulhu.
yeah, I say top A, bottom S. Does that sound reasonable
That
to you?
sounds reasonable.
Do you have a preference on which one?
Not really.
Okay. We may change that. We
Yeah,
may change that.
depending on who goes with it.
Yeah, just because it's just so hard to do it because Illidan, as it is now, has a very similar arc to Arthas, right? He
And he
he
was able to
became the
come
thing
back and actually do it.
he became the thing that he despised. But the big difference between Illidan and Arthas is Illidan had a chance to redeem himself, and he ultimately did, in my opinion, which I think makes a great villain, because a great villain is only as good as their story, and I think he has a fantastic story. But it would be a disservice to all these other arguably pretty good villains if we didn't look at his introduction and his actions as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's to be fair, in my opinion. Oh fuck, Kel'Thuzad.
Well, do you want to do the Elden Trenton Trinity before we hop on? Because we got Kel'Thas and Vosh.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Lady Vosh, I feel like we didn't get much of her, like introduction wise. Like she was first introduced in
What?
Frozen Throne.
Yep.
Um, what did she get much lore in the WoW expansions, or was she just there?
I mean, in Burning Crusade, she kind of was just there, where she was like responsible for hoarding the water in Outland, and then she doesn't, and we kill her. And then when she comes back in Shadowlands as one of your allies, if you're a Necrolord.
Yeah, which is cool, but it's not really a bad or good story. It's just we don't have enough story to judge
Yeah.
it.
Kel'Thas,
Whereas
on the
with
other hand,
Gilthas, I would argue, would it be very disappointing? You think? Because looking at his story, right? He gets his own campaign in Frozen Throne.
yep,
Um, he is the prince of the blood of the not at that time blood elves.
the High Elves.
Yeah, they were the High Elves at that time, who were purged from their land because of Arthas, because he had drained the Sunwell, bringing back Kel'Thuzad.
Mm-hmm.
He was a prince who was looked down upon by humans,
Yep.
but Lady Vosh and Illidan were there for him. Like, I think it's a disappointing story because we could have had the potential for an Arthas type situation, but he's just kind of a pansy. Like
He's not
he's
really
a
much
bit
of
of
a
a
pansy.
he's a what is he? He's arguably a whiny brat. Like, what am I trying to say?
I mean,
Like,
kind of, because like most of it is like him digging his heels and being stubborn about everything due to his arrogance.
right, which is different from Cthulhu because I think that there was so much potential with Kael'thas. Whereas with Cthulhu, I mean, it's an elder god that's imprisoned. You can't really do much with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Like every universe needs elder gods, so I can deal with that a little bit. You know?
Yeah, because
Um,
Kel'Thas we had to kill
whereas
twice.
Yeah, whereas
No,
there
he
are
canonically
other
dies twice.
right. Um, yeah, I think it's a disappointing story. It's not pure trash, but it's disappointing because there was potential there, in my opinion.
He does get a bit of a glow up in Shadowlands because you actually get to buddy around with him for a little while, and then
Yeah.
basically witness his rage storm against Kel'Thuzad when he shows up. But that's not really him as a villain.
Right. That's just him as a NPC, basically.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Speaking of Kel'Thuzad,
Ah, damn it. I have so many mixed thoughts on this because if we were to start him off, I would arguably say he's up here,
yeah,
and then Shadowlands.
yeah.
But I don't know what the happy medium with that is, Like, because it would be a disservice to just say that he's pure trash. So I think he's disappointing
Honestly, I would put
because
him in not really great, but not bad because most
you
of the time
think?
he's just kind of doing his own shit for the most part. It's just kind of background noise where you find out that he was working for the jailer the whole time in a big retcon. You don't find
Yeah.
that out until
So
like basically the very end. So he's
okay.
still
So
doing his own shit, and you don't find out until shit falls apart.
right. Okay. So bottom of essentially B tier.
Yeah.
We're thinking, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's valid. That's valid. Yeah, it's just Kel'Thuzad is a character that I'm so mad about because he was one of my favorite characters in Warcraft 3. He was fucking loyal to Arthas. That kind of shit is insane. It was so good. And then
Jailer.
this asshole. All right,
Kill Jaden.
kill Jaden. Um, arguably, I would say he's either like C tier or potentially this. Cause like, here's the thing, right? We know a lot about Sargeras, right?
Yeah.
He's the big OG bad. He's basically responsible for like 9/10 of most of the lore in Warhammer, right? And most of the things that happen, like
I would be
maybe seven
insane if he
tenths
showed
or
up in
something like that.
Warhammer.
Yeah, Saint 7/10 of the stuff is because of Sargeras.
Yeah.
Kill Jaden is directly the one responsible for Illidan and by extension Kael'thas and Lady Vaj.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
so it's not like he hasn't done stuff.
it's just he does stuff behind the curtain. That's his whole MO.
Yeah, and it's
And he
you
only
can't
puts
really
his foot forward when he thinks he's winning.
right, and yeah, it's
Which,
like
true, that's like a villain in form, but that's a villain you don't get to know.
right, exactly. So
Because we only know him from, like, word of mouth. He was a friend of Valen, so on and so forth. And we
right,
also got that
right,
weird
right.
retcon with Archimonde and Kill Jaden and Sargeras. That was a weird ass retcon.
Yeah,
Where it's like, oh, originally they corrupted Sargeras and they're using him as like a big dumb puppet machine, but then we turn it around.
right, exactly. So ultimately, that's where I would put him. Is
Because, like, if it was still the old lore, he would literally be swapping places with Sargeras.
oh yeah, oh yeah, no, for sure. Um, arguably, I wouldn't even say that because he would be in the same tier as Sargeras because Kil'jaeden was the one who was responsible for Illidan, who subsequently affected Arthas, who subsequently affected a lot of the villains on this list.
Yeah.
But like when you look at his events as a whole, he's just the puppeteer in the background.
Yeah.
So, um,
Lei Shen the Thunder King.
Lei Shen is not really talked about. Like he's just kind of one and done, isn't he?
Pretty much, but we do learn a lot about him and his effect on a lot of Warcraft history.
Okay. Hmm.
Because, like, he's responsible for Zul coming to power because of the resurrections ritual that Zul happened to know.
Okay.
He caused an entire area to become desert when they had to use a literal superweapon meant for nuking the planet itself just to kill him.
Right. Okay.
And,
So while he himself is not very well known about, he is a factor in a lot of lore of Warcraft.
yeah,
Okay.
and like what he did with Oh, shit, forget his name. The one Titan Keeper who gave up, and he literally beat him up, took his power, and took his place in order to try to safeguard the world in his own image.
Okay.
Like he
So
has a lot going for him. It's just very shortly lived because he exists for basically a patch.
okay. So I'd say maybe B tier then.
Yeah,
Um,
because
but
it's
I would
not
say
like
that
yeah, because I would say like he's not trash or disappointing or we don't know enough. It's just very short lived.
yeah, and I'm gonna rework this story a little bit. I'm gonna rework this tier a little bit because again, the rule of knowing who the fuck someone is very important when you're evaluating them as a villain.
Yeah,
And to be honest, I couldn't even remember this guy's name because he doesn't really impact a lot of lore outside of the game that he's in. Um, so that's just me.
yeah, which is fair.
Um, we got a Durgan.
Malagos, the original blue aspect, who went crazy at the death of his wife and tried to literally take all of magic back so no one could use it.
Oof. I would say. Well, what are your thoughts?
Like, we actually know a good part of him, and his death does have a lot of ramifications.
Okay,
But ultimately comes down to good guy gone crazy through grief.
that is true. I would say. I would say top of B tier, in my opinion, just because it is a very commonly used trope, but because of the aspect of it, like it plays a huge part in a particularly well made expansion.
Yeah.
Um, Particularly because the character is also tied with one again my favorite character, so I might be a little biased. Um, but I think if they tweaked it just a little bit, he would definitely be A tier easily.
Yeah.
I would not say that he's S tier though. I would draw the line at him being S tier just because he doesn't have quite the impact that Deathwing did.
In fact, Deathwing's the reason he is what he is.
Exactly, exactly. Um,
That's
Now
N'Zoth,
here's an interesting one.
the one old guy that
Mm,
actually got out of the prison.
yes, and by that extension, he is absolutely higher than Cthulhu, because not only did he do something, but he worked with a mortal.
And N'Zoth's actually the one responsible for Deathwing.
Yeah, so like Nizov has done a lot of shit, so I refuse to put him any lower than A, for sure. The question is, where does he rank in terms of being on A? Is he low A, high A? I'm trying to think. Again, I think the biggest flaw with a lot of these elder gods is
Puppet
there's not
mastering.
really room there's not really room for development with an elder god
Yeah.
because they're already so fucking powerful. I think one of the biggest strengths of N'Zoth is that he was willing to work with a mortal, to treat her as an equal.
Mostly
Like,
because she strong armed him.
oh yeah, which is insane, which is why she's in A tier
Like,
for sure.
it's like, oh, you need me to
Arguably,
escape. Yes, serve me. No, I'll die if you don't make me an equal.
and honestly, I've been thinking about it. Fuck. Does she deserve to be an S tier? Because I'm thinking about it, and like that takes some serious fucking willpower.
Because here's also the
Flaws or
thing
not,
for Ajara.
huh?
She is not dead. She is still around. She has moves she can still make.
Yeah.
So her story's not done. Not in the slightest.
So do you think we put it at S tier, or do you think we leave it at A?
Like, we could probably move her up in A, but until her story is done, I can't really say for certain that she is S tier, because her next move could either make or break her, if we're going to be honest.
Absolutely. Okay, for sure. So yeah, then that's absolutely a concession I'll make. Hopefully Kai is a little bit happy about that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, N'Zoth is definitely A tier. He's not going to be B tier, and he's definitely not on Cthulhu's level. Just because his, like, as an Elder God, it's such a unique concept that a mortal is treated as a fucking equal. Like, that's huge.
Until he gets out.
No. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Which may lead to even more great character growth for both characters. We'll find out. All right, who we got here?
I think that's Nefarian.
Nefarian.
The first Black Dragon, son of Deathwing, we kind of deal with twice.
What does he do again?
He goes in the background, enslaves the orcs. We show up, we murder him, and then he gets brought back to life by old god bullshit, and he revives his dead sister, and we kill him again.
That's it?
Like that's the fast and dirty version of it because we don't really deal with him in quest lines. He's mostly just a raid boss.
Okay, so
Like
arguably I'd say
I mean, extended lore, the most he really did was enslaving the orcs of Blackrock and using them to do what they do to Alexstrasza.
okay. I mean, yeah, then I think it's just don't know enough to say at that
Yeah.
point.
I mean, the most notable fight about him is literally his vanilla boss fight, where they literally keep going back and updating him whenever a new class gets introduced.
Right.
Because he has a gimmick where he turns a class mechanic against you in some way. Like, they actually updated it for the Demon Hunters, where if the mechanic goes off, he actually makes the player blind and blacks out your screen until the mechanic's over.
Right. For sure.
Or if you're a hunter, it
Um,
makes it range of rafts.
yeah. I want to do Sylvanas last for a
Okay.
very important reason. So who is this?
Yogg Saron, the old god during Wrath of the Lich King. The one
Wrath-
who literally catfished a Titan Keeper as his dead wife, as well as catfished his brother, and corrupted Galakron.
Okay. That's definitely more than this asshole.
Yeah, like, he actually got a lot of shit done. Oh yeah, and also Ice Crown Citadel's made out of his blood.
Oh shit, okay. Okay, cool. So yeah,
Which it should be noted that his blood is called Saronite, and it
oof.
has enough. Basically, because of proximity to old gods, can make something go mad. It has that same effect, and
Right.
it actually will give a mindless undead sentience just to make him go mad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's hilarious, honestly.
For sure. All right.
Alternate timeline Gul'dan.
I am not gonna say this is a tough one, right? Because alternate timeline Gul'dan definitely got shit done
Yeah,
for sure. Um, but is he as powerful as his OG counterpart?
I mean,
That
if
is
we're
the
going
question.
off sheer power scaling, he's actually strong. He ends up being stronger, but
Right.
it's more of a matter of he was kind of more of a minion than his OG version.
Right. I mean, to be sure, Gul'dan has always been a minion, but I would argue that OG Gul'dan was far more of a leader than he was as this version.
I don't know. He
Um,
abandoned the horde to try to be a more self-serving asshole to try to get more power when no one was looking. And
right.
due to that, that's why the Legion kept a closer eye on alternate Gul'dan so he couldn't do that shit again.
Right. So I would argue that he is bottom of A tier, below Archimonde.
The lowest for where he was.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
I mean, it says
and
something when he comes back. You know how to treat him to keep him more in line.
and now the undead elf elephant in the room.
Sylvanas.
I'm gonna say a potentially hot take. She is not pure trash. I would argue that because of the wording, hers is the most disappointing story of all.
Yeah.
And I say that because we had so much potential, even more than Illidan, more than the Queen, more than Gul'dan, Deathwing. We had so much potential to have a direct parallel to Arthas, right?
Yep.
She was killed by Arthas as he was becoming the Lich King, unbeknownst to him. She was wrenched from her home. She was forced to destroy her home. She has had to live with that guilt for years and years. She finally became free. And you know what? She started making stupid decisions, but she was still loyal to the Horde. She found a home. She continued doing stupid.
Arthas died, and she found a way to make more undead to keep her people. Gets called out for it, and just keeps doing it anyways.
We
And
find out
burned
she's working for the
Tidrasil.
jailer. We find out that she's working for the jailer as she burns down the tree. But, 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 but.
Well, you don't find out until Shadowlands. She burns down the tree, becomes a genocidal maniac.
And he does have redemption at the
And
very end.
but then they also shit on her holding that guilt of the death and what she's done because the jailer was actually holding on to that guilt, waiting to give it back to her because he's a little meanie guy who was doing all this for the better of the world.
Which is, again, I personally think, at that point in the story, it is more a reflection on how Mary Sue motherfucking trash that this asshole is than how she is as a character
Yeah.
at the end of the day. I put her at the bottom of the very disappointing stories because her story is the most disappointing of all. Again, for the same reason that Shadowlands was at the bottom. Because of the potential. It's not what we got. It's what we could have fucking had that we didn't.
Yes.
And that is what upsets me the most. Anyway, impassioned speech over. What are your thoughts on the list? Zealot, do you have any notable objections?
I do not. Everything pretty much works out as it really realistically should.
And as always with these lists, as more expansions come out, we may change our minds. Because, spoiler warning everyone, we're human beings. We're prone to change our minds.
Time changes.
I will say, just as kind of an offside for us to focus on, I would be very curious to see what happens with her. Who are the villains that are currently alive? Sylvanas is questionably not a villain anymore, / not alive. I don't know what that story is.
I mean,
Cthulhu-
she's in the maw chasing off, collecting souls, so she's doing work.
Okay. So she's working on her redemption. Cthulhu
Dead.
is dead. Okay, so nothing from him. Xavius is finally dead.
Maybe.
This asshole's... God damn it, don't you dare say that shit.
I mean, he keeps coming back from, he's definitely dead this time, so we can never actually say.
That's fair.
Because we didn't see him in Shadowlands, so we can't even confirm it.
That's fair. And you know who can't say that? Fucking Kill Jaden. Fucking Cthulhu. Anyway. Is Kel'Thuzad still alive?
He's dead. We actually destroy his phylactery
Okay.
in his final raid boss.
Okay.
So the only thing that could happen is he shows up in the Shadowlands again, but he can't get out without further help. So he potentially could return, but he's like undead dead, or whatever you want to call it.
My brain.
Yeah, like because as far as I'm aware of, he got sent back to the front door of the Shadowlands, so he might just be in the maw.
So who are the villains that are currently alive? Not alive, not alive.
Oh, Sargeras is still alive.
Sargeras is still alive. Okay.
Yeah, he's just being imprisoned by the other Titans in Illidan.
Got it. Okay. So we see something potentially from him.
Yep.
Dead. Imprisoned.
He's with
alive?
Sargeras. He's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Okay.
Unconfirmed.
Dead? Unconfirmed. Okay, so we may potentially see something with that.
Like
hella dead.
Because they did this weird thing with Archimonde in the final fight where if you're fighting him on the hardest difficulty, he pulls you into Twisting Nether and you kill him there, but the cutscene still shows him dying in alternate Draenor just so he can send Gul'dan, so it's one of those things like, they want him to be dead, but they pulled a 180 to say, like, he did this before he died, so therefore he actually shouldn't be dead yet.
Okay.
So it's one of those things of, they need to hard confirm yes or no, and they just haven't.
For sure. Okay. So, we're not sure. Hella dead. Rotting in hell.
No, not even rotting in hell. He's just gone.
Yeah, he's just gone.
Maybe dead.
Probably will come back.
Hella dead.
Hella dead.
Dead.
Hella dead.
Afterlife.
Doing work.
Yep.
Fuck you. Dead. Alive?
He's dead. We killed him.
Okay, and
Afterlife.
in the afterlife.
Yep.
Okay. So potentially, the ones that we need to be on the lookout for are Sargeras and
Ajara. Because Archimonde has the potential of coming back, but not likely.
Gotcha.
And even if he does come back, what the fuck is he gonna do?
Right, exactly.
Because until Sargeras comes back, he's kind of just sitting there doing nothing, and who knows? He might join the alliances as well.
Who knows? Why the fuck not? It's not like it's the stupidest thing they've done.
It's sad that we can say that.
Looking at you, fucking jailer.
Yeah.
All right. But, gang, I think that that will cause it to be a wraps here today. Uh, so unfortunately, I was planning on trying to do the WoW free trial today, but I'm not in a good mindset to really give it the love and attention that it deserves. So I wanted to hold off until I feel a little bit better. But rest assured, it is downloaded. I made sure it completed before I put shut down. Um, what is BattleNet? There we go. That's the word. Ah, Miss Brianna, hello, hello, hello. Yes, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Um, but yeah, we're gonna do some tier lists today, and it looks like with this first one, we have Warcraft races. Is that right?
Specifically the player races. So these are all playable races.
Very good. All right. Let's see. Does it look like we have all of them? It does look like we have all of them. I'm not seeing any missing? Yeah, yeah, this is all the way updated to Dragonflight. Good shit.
Yep.
All right. So, let's see here. So I think just as a point of order, where are the humans?
Uh, uh, Looks like right above the Zandalari trolls there. So there's your default human.
Right? What's this human?
Cool Terran human. They count as a separate race.
Okay. So I think just for the sake of setting up a standard, I mean, it makes sense, right? Humans are kind of the standard. They're not the greatest, but they're not the worst, right? Like it's a very basic but safe choice.
Yeah, so we're going basing this off of lore, not any gameplay thing.
Correct.
Okay, because humans are very overpowered.
Yeah. No, no, no. I know nothing about gameplay, so uh, uh, disclaimer: I know nothing about gameplay. Do not at me unless you are going for the lore. All right? Thank you. Um, okay. So let me think then in that context, because I want to try to stick with original races. I would argue, for me personally, I think the orcs are just a step above humans. They're not S tier, but they're definitely not B tier.
Okay.
I like the take that they have with orcs. Obviously they do have bloodthirsty moments, and there's some questionable connotations about tribalness and all that stuff. But one thing I absolutely love is how they embrace shamanism and how they're not stereotypical orcs. You know
Well,
what I mean?
well, the bloodthirst mostly came from the demon blood curse,
Exactly, exactly.
and same
So,
with the green skin.
right. So I think it's a very novel approach to orcs. I think it's one of the better ones in my opinion. Um, so I'd say A, but they're definitely not one of my favorites. I would say favorites are definitely going to be going to S tier for sure. Um, dwarves. Oh God, dwarves are hard because I love dwarves in Warcraft. Because one of my favorite lines from Warcraft 3 was, "Less as my bootstick." Sorry if that cut out for anyone. Um, if you know, you know. It's a
Yeah.
classic line. I freaking love it. They brought it back, I think, as a kind of kind of Easter egg in WoW, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I
there's
could
a
be wrong on
broomstick
that.
in WoW.
Um, but I also recognize that lore-wise, I'd say lore-wise, yeah, they're definitely an S tier race in my opinion. I love WoW, I love Warcraft
Okay,
dwarves. I think they're
I
cool.
do need to specify one thing with the player dwarf. Because
Okay.
the default player dwarf is specifically the Ironforged dwarf and not any of the other ones.
Okay. Okay. So not this
Yeah,
dwarf.
that's Dark Iron.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect because, like I said, I know nothing about gameplay, so
Yeah.
that'll be perfect. Um, so I would say in terms of lore and just in terms of their aesthetic, I absolutely love the steampunk aesthetic. Definitely my jam. Which also brings me to gnomes. Um, you know what? They're crazy sons of bitches. I love them. Absolutely love them. I still think dwarves are superior just because of they have kind of the kooky zaniness and the, we build anything type of attitude, but they have tons of alcohol, and that's always a wonderful combination, right? Like
If you want a
that's
little, if you want a little bit more tidbit,
yeah, yeah.
ever since Nomergon kind of got dirty bombed,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
gnomes have been living with the dwarves in Ironforge, so they just kind of intermingled.
That tracks. That really does track. For sure. Um So, question: Are these blood elves or high elves specifically?
Blood
Oh no,
elves,
there's the
high elves
difference.
are not playable.
Okay. Let's see here. Um,
And we got night elf over at the end there.
yeah, night elf.
That'll be the last of the default alliance race.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. So, I think lore-wise, you can't look at Warhammer. You can't look at Warcraft lore and not recognize that night elves contribute a lot to it, right? By sheer virtue of how long-lived they are, right?
Hey, look,
So,
there's Malfurion, Illidan, Tyrande, and all sorts of other elves that happen to be alive for 80% of the story.
right, exactly. Which is both good and bad in my opinion. It's this is going to be a bit of a hot take. I don't necessarily like elves being long-lived for being long-lived's sake. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're not anymore.
That is also true.
Because they're, I think their normal lifespan is like the same as humans. It's just now that's gone with the immortality.
That's crazy. So, trying to think. Because we also have to recognize that one of the coolest villains, one of the baddest bitches in the lore was a night elf, I believe, correct? She was a night elf or
What,
was she?
Ajara?
Yeah,
High elf.
high elf. Okay. Oh shit, she was a high elf?
Yeah.
Hmm. I thought she was a night elf.
I mean, they were
Crazy.
pretty much intermingled to the point where like high elves basically just saw
Oh,
themselves as high society, and that's the only real
gotcha.
divide there. Because
I get
at
you.
that
Okay.
point it was just elves. That's all it was then. And then
Right.
eventually they just
Okay.
kind of separated the after the War of the Ancients, and those who still believe magic had a place in the world just left and became high elves. And Ajara
Okay, I
would
get you.
definitely be more of the high elf caliber because she didn't really go around in the woods.
Right, right, right. Okay. Um, so I would say that just kind of based on, hmm, you know what? I'd say B. I'd say B is fair. I would say that they contribute way too much to definitely be like this is the lowest I would put them. And I honestly may raise them, but I don't see myself putting it any lower than this just because of the sheer number of them that have major moments in the lore. To say nothing of names like, again, as you said, Malfurion, Tyrande, and my boy Illidan, right? Um, I just don't think it would be fair to put them any lower than that, for sure. So I may raise it, may keep it at B. Who knows?
Above or
But
below
that's
human?
my huh?
Above or below human?
I'd say below human for now, just because again, human is kind of the standard. We're keeping it as kind of a what's the term? Like a litmus or like a standard to judge everything else by, I would say. Because we're all human, right? Like that would
Yeah.
be our default, right? It's the same thing with fighter in D&D, right? It's a very safe choice and it's a very reasonable choice.
Yeah.
So, so that's why for now they are below it. They may get higher, they may get up to here, who knows? But we'll figure that out as we go along here. Um, so these are the default alliance races in the base WoW game.
Yep.
So on that note, let's. I think we'll kind of do it at that. We'll kind of do it at that rate. It's just kind of go expansion by expansion, right?
Right. Okay.
Um, so that would be the Tauren and the Trolls
Yep.
would be the two Horde ones, right? And these are regular
And
Trolls, and these
undead.
are regular Tauren.
N-
Oh,
no.
right, the Forsworn. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, the
Okay.
normal Torns at the end.
This is the normal Tauren.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna say this right now. I have loved Tauren ever since I played Frozen Throne. ever since I played the third game. I mean, they're Minotaur men. They're Minotaur shamans who kick ass. Like, how can you not love that shit, right? How can teenage me not think this is fucking dope?
I think I might have an RTS that you may love.
Talk RTS to me, baby. Um, but I also appreciate that in a world where war is literally in the name, they definitely, I would argue, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but they are definitely one of the more peaceable races. They definitely, as a people, don't like violence compared to a lot of the others. Would
Yeah,
you agree with that
that
statement?
that is very true, especially since they have a very good friendship with the Night Elves, even
Right.
prior to the Warcraft stuff all going on.
Right, exactly. Um, and again, and I, it's very controversial for me as a lover of war games to say that I love people who love peace, but I eat that shit up. Frickin' in Warhammer, in Warcraft, I love races that do their best to be as good as they can for the sake of just being good, for no other reason than just it's the right thing to do.
Yep, and
You
that's why
know?
you love our baby boy Anduin and his progression to everyone's favorite Manduin.
Hey, you're right, you're right, you're right. I love that progression. I love his learning, and I love how he went from someone I barely knew the name of to being a man that I can now recognize immediately. I love that. I love that for him.
And
All
to
right.
think, this all started when he was like 6.
Right? That's what's crazy. Yeah, Tazdingo. Oh god, I gotta put the trolls definitely up in S tier. Well, this is tough because trolls are another one of those races that really I've really enjoyed. Particularly now that I've been seeing a lot more of their culture in WoW, about Swandi, the Loa, seeing how they work with dinosaurs and stuff. Like it's aesthetically, they're such a cool faction, and honestly, they're one of the influences that really got me to appreciate voice acting as a hobby. The Tazdingo and Hassan Chop, and for those who know, they know. Um, so I definitely want to rank them up high, but I don't know if they're quite S tier yet. So I think as a compromise, I'm gonna put them at the top of A tier, just because again I want to temper my own nostalgia with like being objective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, as we look at it, it's like, oh, you played Warcraft 3. How do you know your rankings?
Exactly. Can you tell, brother? Um. Anyway, um. So, let's see. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory in my opinion. Um, the I'm gonna mess this up. Forsworn or Forsaken? I can't
Forsaken.
remember. Forsaken. Um, always a fan of an undead concept. I think the idea that there was this essentially because what it was a power vacuum when Arthas and effectively for a time the Lich King disappeared. I think that's such a cool concept, right? That these warriors from potentially various periods of time are now a scattered people. Like I think that's a very cool concept. It's a very interesting approach
Well,
to
it's
the
not
undead.
scattered times.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Like I guess I just don't know how quite they work. Are they fresh corpses? Are they corpses
They're fresh
from
corpses.
Okay, okay,
So,
okay.
so literally,
So,
only people who died from Warcraft 3 onward would be potentially Forsaken.
okay, fair enough. And that's I think we established over the course of what, like 20 years? No.
Like, I mean,
Yes,
it's
no.
about 20-ish years now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, so fair enough. Again, my point about it being a unique way to do the undead is a very true statement. I think that they are definitely, for lack of a better way of putting it, pardon my joke here, it's a fresh take on a bunch of corpses with sentience, for sure. Um, having said that, their lore and their allegiances seem kind of inconsistent at times, particularly with Sylvanas and all that stuff. And that's there's a multitude of reasons behind that, I imagine. Again, the inconsistent writing with Sylvanas, kind of everything that happened after Wrath of the Lich King.
Well, we actually
You
have an
know.
explanation for some of that.
Okay. Okay.
Because when they first happened, where did they have to go? Because the Alliance
Right.
did not want them in there because they just dealt with the Lich King, and as far as they're aware of,
Right.
undead bad. Horde ended up taking
Right.
them in so that they were part of a faction. And then from
Right.
there, it
Okay.
still came down to they felt like they literally had nowhere to go because if they tried to go back to their families, if they were still alive, they probably would just be killed on sight because zombie.
Right.
So it became more of a
Worse yet,
loyalty out of necessity
yeah.
situation.
Or worse yet, they would be killed as traitors.
Exactly.
So, again, it's a very fresh concept, and keeping that in mind, I think I'm gonna raise him up. I'm gonna raise him to the top of A tier, given what you just said, because I think it offers a very interesting dynamic. Um, but again, that just it doesn't hit that like it doesn't hit that. What's the word? It doesn't
The
hit
sweet spot.
the dopamine. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't hit the sweet spot that the Tauren and the gnomes and the dwarves do for me. You feel me,
Yeah.
dog?
Yeah. Now we get to
Cool.
Burning Crusade.
Yes. And this is actually something about Burning Crusade I remember. Um, I'm sorry, gang. I gotta keep making that joke because it's such a true statement. Um, it is the Draenei and the Blood Elves, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there have been a lot of retcons, both of these races were primary forces in the Frozen Throne, correct? Because if I remember correctly, uh, Kael'thas was taken to Outland. No, yes,
Yeah.
by Illidan,
Yep.
who then conscripted the Draenei people to overthrow kind of the demons and other stuff that were there, right?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. Well, actually, kinda. Because there was the Broken
Yes.
with Nabundu and all those guys, which they're technically
Yeah, yeah.
Draenei that lost connection to the light and mutated because of it. But it's not. But the
Okay.
player Draenei themselves were the ones that kind of kept rocketing around in the spaceship until they crashed.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Which
So,
they're the long-lived race that have been around since, well, basically the Burning Crusade being a thing.
right. Okay. So, this is going to be a very hot take. I think that the Blood Elves are the bottom of B tier, just because the thing that really definitely keeps them going is that their whole shtick is that they want blood for Quel'Thalas, right? Their whole shtick was that they were a faction of elves that started up because they were displaced elves from when Arthas burned it to the ground.
And they needed to feed their
Um,
addiction.
right, exactly. Which was that made clear that it was an addiction at that point from now then on,
Yes, it was an
or okay,
addiction.
okay,
Because
cool.
like once they lost the Sunwell because Arthas ruined it, then they started suffering from withdrawals.
Yeah. So one of the detracting points is a very common trope with elves, is that to counteract the fact that they are this very long-lived race, right? Um, as a whole, they are a dying species, and it's an interesting take on it. I don't think it's interesting enough to get away from the fact that it is a very commonly used trope. You see it all the time. You see it with Warhammer. You see it with a bunch of other elves, where they're these long-lived beings who are just dying off.
Yep, and
Um,
even in Fear and the recent anime, that was a thing.
Right. But again, what brings them up from being C tier, because, dying elf is a kind of tyrant concept, is that their whole shtick is that they are not peace loving elves. No, they are forged in blood and war, and they will fuck your shit up. And they have one of the coolest alliance units in the fucking Frozen Throne. The fucking Magic Breaker, the one with the shield and the spinning blade. I
Yeah,
fucking loved that shit as a kid.
those are the city
Fucking
guards
loved
for
it.
Silver Moon.
Oh, yeah.
But it should be
Um,
noted that the only reason they're made for Blood and War now is because of Arthas.
right, exactly. Which,
And
again, is
also, the
another.
only reason they're a dying race is because of Arthas.
Right.
Because
So
that took
again,
out 90% of their population.
Right. Like I said, very interesting takes that keep it above C, but I don't think they're above Night Elves. I find that the Night Elves are a bit more. How do I put it? They're both simultaneously more original, but also safe, if that makes sense. Like, they don't follow a lot of the same tropes, but they keep some of the cooler tropes that other elves do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps as we go along the list, like I said, I'll adjust the rating. But for now, the night elves are above the blood elves. Keep track of that, blood elf lovers. You may still have your spotlight yet.
I mean, Blood Elves are like the
Um,
most played race in the game.
yes, because fun fact, at the time that Burning Crusades came out, Lord of the Rings came out. So a lot of people wanted to be at Legolas. Fun stuff.
No, it's actually
Uh,
because it's the first race in the horde that actually looked appealing.
ooh, fair point. Fair point. All right, Draenei. Um, I would say. Mm, what do you think? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, because Draenei pretty much are like a core thing for like majority of Warcraft, where like none of this happens without them. But one thing that's
Right.
kind of a big issue with Draenei that I personally have is that for whatever reason, if it does not involve them personally, they
Right.
just don't fucking care. They just
Mm,
because like Battle for Azeroth, okay, all the factions are at war. Valen doesn't show up, and
that's
no major
interesting.
Draenei really seem to have any direct effect, action in there, even though they're all supposed to be there.
Right. That's that is a bit
Legion,
of a detractor,
also
in my
like
opinion.
Legion, okay, the Burning Legions here on Azeroth. Everyone needs to be doing their shit. What are the Draenei doing? Hiding out in their spaceship until literally they're forced into action.
Right. Which is not good. Is absolutely not good at all. Um, yeah, I can't rank them any higher than C because of that. I would say the highest that I could possibly rank them would be low B,
Because
for sure.
the only thing I could think of is like the writers keep forgetting they exist unless they're involved, but that's
Yeah,
more of an issue
that's.
with the staff than anything.
But it also is something that impacts the race as a whole. So I think if
Yeah,
we got more writing for them, we could probably rank them up a little higher. But as it stands, I mean, the female model is sexy. That's a plus, I guess.
I mean they
I
tried to do that with all of them.
which is fair,
I mean, at least
but
we didn't get the original female troll model.
listen, listen, man, listen. Let them hooves do. That's all I ask. Anyway, um,
You do not want to see the original troll model.
kind of do now though, but I kind of don't, but I kind of do.
I would vote
Anyway,
for you.
so Wrath of the Lich King didn't have any new races released. So if I remember correctly, it was the Worgen and the Goblins, right?
Correct.
So Worgen, absolutely love Worgen. You know me, I have not shut up about the Worgen since we started talking about Cataclysm. Um, I love the beast races, man. I think a race of essentially lichens is essentially what they are. I think that's dope. I think
They're well, it's literally werewolf.
yeah, exactly. It's literally werewolves. Like that's who doesn't fucking love werewolves? I sure as shit love werewolves. I'm a big fucking furry. I'll admit that shit. I love werewolves.
I would say half the Twilight fans.
That doesn't have werewolves. That has giant wolves and sparkle fairies. Moving on. Yes, I'm choosing all kinds of fights today. But it's really cool. I love kind of the lore that they have to fight with this curse. I love how it's intertwined with other races. I love how it's intertwined to a degree with some of the events in Warcraft 3, which we didn't really see a whole hell of a lot of with the newer races. Obviously, Blood Elves, well, Blood Elves are an exception to that because they were directly influenced by the events of 3.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we got to the Worgen that we had another one who was directly influenced to that. I mean, because everything else was either. Well, no, the Forsworn too. Okay. Disregard everything I say. I don't know shit about what I'm talking about. I am just on the internet speaking. Hello. God, I'm tired.
Alright, so now we got
Um,
goblins.
Aesthetically, I love that they are the greedy motherfuckers. I think Warcraft didn't really have that for a long time until we started seeing goblins. I loved how in Warcraft 3 they were the ones that you rented mechs from, that you rented blimps from. You literally could hire bombers. I freaking loved the Tinkerer from Frozen Throne. One of my favorite neutral heroes. I'm so sad that it wasn't part of the Horde. I thought it would have been so fucking cool. Um, mm. And I love just how unapologetically goblin they are. You know what I mean? Like,
I
yeah, I'm a
mean,
goblin. What you gonna do about it? Eh? Like that. You know what I mean? Like a goblin's gonna goblin. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like every single race knows about that. I think that that's a very appealing thing as far as being a character goes, because you know that a goblin can, not be a piece of shit, but odds are they're gonna be a piece of shit, and you're gonna love to hate them. That's what I love about goblins. Um, do I think that some of them are war criminals? Absolutely. Do I still want to hear funny goblin talk about capitalism? Yes, I do.
Alright, now we got Miss of Pandaria and the Pandaren.
So they were the only race released during that, right?
Correct.
Okay. Um so I'm a little conflicted here and maybe you can help me resolve my feelings. So if you asked me about Pandarans during Frozen Throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have said S tier because we had Chen Stormstout. His whole shtick was elemental kung fu master, drunken master of the way of the fist. This man had a fucking drinking gourd on his back, on a staff, with the bamboo hat and the kung fu, right?
Yep.
So, like, aesthetically, that's so fucking cool. But then we get to Mists of Pandera, and it's not that the lore is bad, but it's lacking, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I still haven't played the game, so I haven't experienced
I would say it's
what
because you
lore they
didn't play
have.
the game, because I was mostly focusing more on the story beats rather than the
Right.
all around.
I get you. Um, so I guess I just don't have that insight beyond that. So if you could offer any insight, I would appreciate that.
Because pretty much all the abilities Chen had in Warcraft 3 are monk abilities you get as a player with the monk, and they do teach that to the other races. So that's still something that's very ingrained in their
Okay.
culture, especially since the kung fu mastery of keeping your emotions calm was a necessity for them to live at peace because of the Shah.
Right,
Because if their
right.
emotions got
Okay.
the better of them, they literally spawn monsters that control them and make them spiral.
Right, right. I get you. Okay. Okay. Um, so I think tentatively we're going to leave it at the very bottom of S tier for the time being. Um, as I think about it and I see other races, we may lower as needed. Um, but we'll go along with that as we need to. Um, are there any races that we need to add in that weren't player races?
Uh,
Or are these all player
those are
races? I
all
forgot.
player races.
Cool. Okay, then I'll trust you to tell me when to add people in.
Alright, so
So,
the next expansion was Warlords of Draenor, which had nothing. Then we had Legion, which gave us the Demon Hunters, but not a new race.
okay.
Then we get to Battle for Azeroth, and then we start getting to the allied races.
Okay. So wait, what about these orcs?
That's the Makar Orcs, which is BFA.
Okay, cool. All right. So, okay. So, let me
Oh wait, no,
see
sorry, we
here.
did get some allied races in Legion. Sorry, my bad. So backtrack a bit.
Okay.
So for the Horde, we got the High Mountain Tauren,
Okay.
the
No, this isn't where I'm leaving
yeah,
it. I'm just
the
bringing these up so I
Nightborn,
know them. Nightborn.
That's
Which
it.
one?
First one.
Okay.
Lightforged Draenei and Dark Iron Dwarves.
Cool. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Dark Iron Forged dwarves, did they have a lot of lore, or was there anything notable with them? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was a bunch of lore with them.
Okay.
Because remember, or Magni's daughter Moira?
Right. Yeah,
She's
yeah,
their
yeah. She
leader.
ended up. Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all
Okay.
them. And plus them summoning
Okay.
Ragnaros and all that shit.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. Um. Hmm. Hmm. I think let's. Hmm. Because aesthetically, their appearance is whatever to me, right? So that's part of the thing I'm judging on. Aesthetically, it's meh. But lore-wise, they have some pretty kick-ass lore. They also, I believe, they kidnapped Anduin, if I remember correctly, right? Or they didn't let him leave.
They didn't let him leave. They actually took over all of Ironforge, and Anduin just happened to be there.
Right. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. So, for the time being, I don't know, because they are also dwarves as well.
And remember, they also got enslaved by Deathwing and ended up forging his armor on his body too.
Ooh, yeah, very good, very good. So we'll say bottom of A tier because they did have some very big major story elements, as well as a lot of cool lore surrounding them.
Yeah, they just
Okay,
kept getting enslaved by bigger villains, and then once the villains were done with, they actually turned around and became a pretty good race when it comes
okay,
to like lawful good and that stuff.
okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, Tauren,
High Mountain Tauren.
High Mountain Tauren. I'm sorry, I just don't remember these guys at all. I'm just trying to rack my brain.
Pretty much Moose Tauren. Their entire storyline is literally one questing zone.
So that's not really a whole hell of a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's literally you're helping them pick out a new chieftain because they happen to get killed off by your new enemy that you have to go and kill.
Right.
The only real notable thing to come from them is Abyssian, because he was basically
Okay.
hiding out with them his whole life as like their
Okay.
spiritual leader.
Okay.
So
Um.
the new Black Dragon aspect is High Mountain Tauren for his
Okay.
visage.
I don't think it's enough of a grievous sin to have that just be it, but I will put them at the very bottom of C, and I'm honestly probably going to leave them at the bottom of C, unless there's someone just as bad. And don't you worry, Mechnome, you know where you're going, motherfucker. I have words about you. Um. So then the Lightsworn Draenei. Um. Fuck. Like, did they? This is gonna sound stupid because I know we just did a bunch of slides on this. What else did they do in comparison to the regular draft? Oh, excuse me.
They're the ones that didn't run away and actually been fighting the war with the Burning Legion the entire time.
Oh shit. Okay, so they've been holding the fucking line while these guys have been running.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's all off-screen shit.
Okay.
That's literally all
Um.
we have for them is literally off-screen.
Okay. Um. So I will say, by simple virtue of what they've done, it bumps them up to B tier. But because it has all been off screen, I cannot put it above the Blood Elves at this point. Because if they had some screen time, I absolutely could see putting them at the top of B tier, maybe even the bottom of A tier.
Like,
But
yeah, because the screen time they get is literally the tail end of Legion, where it's like, we found them, they're here, they get shot down, we rescue them, and then we team up to end the Legion in like a month.
yeah, because unlike these assholes who show on screen, they actually did something. So,
Hey, to be fair, after Legion ended, they suffered the same issue of not doing anything unless it directly involved them.
fair enough. Okay. And then these
Then,
are the mana. These are the super mana starved elves, right?
yeah, in Suramar that showed up in Legion.
Okay. I think as a concept, it's pretty cool to show because the main thing it did is it showed what happens to elves when they don't satiate the mana addiction,
Uh,
right? Which I think is very cool. I think
I
it's good
actually
lore.
have input on this one.
Oh, okay. What's up?
So this is on me. We
Okay.
actually already did see that with the Blood Elves.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, like the Blood Elf starting zone is literally killing off some of the ones that went feral from their mana addiction.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it's like not a hidden thing. It's just not something people remember.
Gotcha. Okay. Um. Hmm.
So it, literally, we just see go to the extreme.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's on me.
Yeah. That's fair. I'd say that still makes them a little bit more interesting than these guys, just because we kind of see the tail end of it, right? Which is important for world building. It's important to fully provide context for events that happen. So, yeah,
And they
I
gave us
think,
one of the dumbest quest lines ever.
yeah,
Where we actually
yeah,
round up a bunch of the mana addict feral things and actually train them into an army just to throw at people, only to never use it.
yeah.
I'm not kidding. That's actually a quest line.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. All right, what's next?
All right. So then after Legion, we get Battle for Azeroth, where we get the remaining 6 allied races. So everyone but the
Uh,
dragon.
cool. You're staying there, motherfucker. I have words about you when we're done with the other five.
Okay.
Um, so I think what's cool about this is these are the orcs that were from the alternate timeline, right?
Correct.
Okay. Again, the big thing, because I know that they didn't appear in this expansion, but I think, again, just something to emphasize with Lore Lords of Draenor is that it had a lot of cool concepts, and it was one of those ideas that they swung with, and it was a miss. And that's good. That's good for any game, is that they occasionally take risks. I think a byproduct of that existing in the world, meaning that they don't just shove it under the rug like it was a mistake. They're like, no, this happened, but here's a result of what happened. I think that that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, with it
So,
actually being an alternate timeline, they had every excuse to never bring it back up.
right. So I would say that that's bottom of B tier because you know what? That takes guts to own up to a mistake. All right. Like, what? I don't remember anything. Well, hang on. Um, these were the Theramore people, you said?
Yeah, cool Terran.
Cool Terran.
So where
Okay.
Jaina's from.
Right, okay. So I'd say by virtue of that, definitely for sure top of C tier at least.
Because we spend half of Battle for Azeroth with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm okay with top of C tier. Like, it's just the problem with variance of human, right? Variance of human is seems like a bit of an oxymoron, right? Because a human's a human's a human. Why would we need variance of human? It's weird.
In this case, it's more
What?
of the living culture difference because you're going from
Right.
landlocked humans who never really have to step in the sea to the humans who, in order to survive, have to regularly go out to sea.
Right.
So that would be a different living condition to cause a different variant.
Right. So that I kind of get. Um, Vulpin,
Yep, the Volpira.
why were they needed?
But it's kind of a thing of like they just stuck around.
But like they didn't contribute anything major, did they?
Um,
I mean, obviously they
Technically, they
contributed to the war
rescued the
effort.
player from one thing, and then they helped us kill the Snake Kingdom. But that's like
Okay.
all done in one questing zone. That's literally it.
Yeah,
So it
then
was
I
it's an excuse to make another player race and give us another keep it
yeah,
even.
that's meh. I don't like it that
And
much, but
if you want another thing to hate about it, it's literally a reskinned goblin for the player model.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so bottom of C tier. Again, I have words for why there's only one D tier so far, but we are going to save that till after these two. Hell, I might even just save it till after the dragon, cause fuck it. Cause I have some words to say about this shit. Um, the new variant of troll,
The
definitely
Zandalari
very cool.
troll.
Yeah. Um, I honestly, I love what the Zandalari trolls introduced us to. I love the story elements that them being brought in allowed us to bring, right? Because if I remember correctly, you said that it's essentially a troll model, but it's just cosmetically different, right?
Oh no,
Essentially.
that's actually a different model for that troll.
Oh shit. Okay, so that's even better. Um, but they brought us Buff Swandi. They brought us the Loa. They brought us all this good stuff. I mean, Loa were there before, but like you know what I mean. Like they
Yeah,
brought a lot of cool story
it
moments.
literally
I
caused a
think.
deep dive into the troll culture.
Right. Exactly.
Because to be fair, the
Now,
Zandalari have been there since vanilla. They just not
right.
playable.
And that's another point in favor of it is that it is a race that finally got looked into after who knows how many expansions. I can't math
I
right
mean,
now.
we can only food poison and kill with stabbing their leader so many times before they eventually join us. Only
Yeah,
to then do it
exactly.
immediately again.
Exactly. Um,
What
now
about
help
you,
me with
Hakar?
these. Now help me with these guys
The
again.
Void
I'm
Elves.
Void Elf.
Literally, they're blood elves that got touched by Void Old God energy and actually had their skin turned and got kicked out of the Horde.
Okay, so they're horde rejects.
Yes.
Somehow the Vulpin managed to not be bottom of C tier. That's amazing. That is. Oh
I mean,
no,
they've been.
they're reskinned goblins. Fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Void Elves are reskinned Blood Elves. And not even
Yeah,
trying
that's
to hide it
fair.
with fur.
Ah, shit. You're right. Fuck.
Because the
Vulpin.
only real thing that the Void Elves have going for it is Illyria is their leader, but that doesn't amount to
Right.
much right now. They have innate Void powers, but that doesn't mean much depending on your class.
Right.
And they got kicked out of the Horde because the Horde feared old god stuff, and Alliance took them in. And now that everything's good and told, they're able to mingle with the Horde, but they're still not allowed into Silvermoon.
Right.
Because if they get too close to the Sunwell, it'll actually break the Sunwell again.
Right. So.
That's actually in lore.
That's amazing. So yeah, somehow Vulpin, you managed to inch out on top. I love it. We're gonna go to the dragon because I, again, as I've stated many, many times, have a lot of words about the autognomes or the mechagnomes or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck they're called. Dragon people. I think that that was such a cool concept. So a lot of points in favor. They are former experiments of Deathwing, right?
Yep.
They are
Before he was
former
even Deathwing.
experience, huh?
Before he was even Deathwing.
Exactly. So they're very drenched in the lore. They're very thematic for the expansion that they're in because let's face it, Battle for Azeroth, including fox people, zombie elves, and this.
They're not even zombie elves. They were just touched to the void and infected with void magic. That's it.
Right.
They're not even
Right.
undead. They're just, oh, I got old god juju in me.
Cthulhu elves. I love
Yes.
it. Um, and yet that's somehow more palatable than this fucking thing. But it's really cool. It ties in with the lore not only of the overall story, but the specific expansion that they are in, which surprisingly is very important to me because I mean, it makes sense if you're in an expansion called Dragonflight, you want there to be Durgans. Like that's just a given. What does it say about me that the top three are all animals? Well, let's not dive too far into that, shall we? Um, and then there's these assholes.
I got one more thing I want to mention before
Oh,
we go any
okay,
further.
okay,
Some
okay,
honorary tidbits about the Volpira and Void Elves.
okay.
So the Volpira actually have one of the most amazing racials in the game that people actually love, where they can
Okay.
actually set up a camp anywhere in the outside world and a secondary spell which allows them to return back to their camp.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you could,
That,
so you could literally like set it up right outside of a raid, and like, okay,
okay.
I want to go run the raid. Go back to camp,
That's crazy though. Okay. You know
and
what? Credit to him.
because
That's a clever mechanic. That's a clever
because
mechanic. I'll,
it's also tied into the lore of them being more of a nomadish people who would travel around instead of camp places.
that would have been so good for the Tauren. Oh my god. Why did like I'm not dissing the Vulpin for this. I think that the Vulpin are actually really cool for this ability. That's what bumped them up. But you got to admit that that would have been super fucking dope for the Tauren. Both Tauren. I would argue that it would even have bumped up these Tauren to a low B tier at that rate.
And now for the Void Elf tidbit.
Okay.
So they have the ability to summon a magical book full of cantrips, which literally works as a mailbox. They have the ability to summon a mailbox through a magic book, thanks to the old god's powers.
So Zealot, you're fucking telling me, right? You're fucking telling me that these elves got in contact with Cthulhu and they summoned something from the United States Postal Service?
I mean, to
Is
be
that,
fair, Cthulhu contacted them non-consensually.
right. But it doesn't change the fact that these guys are glorified mailmen, and I love it. I love
No,
it.
it's literally a personal mailbox that only they can use.
Okay, so it's not very functional. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is
then they're
literally just for your
yeah.
own personal use.
That's it's quirky. It's legit quirky, but
I have,
eh.
yeah. I mean, just picture that in a D&D campaign. It's like I am literally the servant of Cthulhu. He's giving me unlimited cosmic powers. Oh, what's that power? I can check my mail wherever I am.
I cast power word postal box.
There is no postal box. It's right here, and they're just pulling mail out of thin air in front of other people, and it's all
I
bills.
love it. I love it. So before we get into this travesty here, are there any revisions, or do you think there are any changes that we should make regarding any of the positionings here?
I'm all good because this is your tier list.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you
Um,
information.
yeah, I would say honestly, thinking about what you mentioned about the gameplay as well as the lore, I'm gonna bring up, and I'm gonna make this a fucking animal trifecta here, and we're gonna put the Pandarans in the top four.
Don't you mean
Jeez.
quadfecta?
Quadfecta, thank you. Um, I still love the dwarves. I still love the gnomes. Gnomes are the bottom of S tier. I'm thinking about it, right? And I don't know. I should they be top of A tier? You think? I don't know. Like, I guess it's just because I haven't had as much direct experience with gnomes as I have had with dwarves. Right? Dwarves are definitely nostalgic for me, but I don't know. I do love the aesthetic of the gnomes as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's tough. I think. I think we're gonna leave the list as is regarding that.
All right.
Um,
And now for your
I think
rant.
yes. All right, gang. Do you know what they did for these motherfuckers? Do you know what they are? They're literally cyborg gnomes. They're not even a different race of gnome. They're not even a different subspecies of creature that just got assigned the name gnome. No, someone looked at a gnome and said, "Oh, let's give that fucker a robotic heart." Okay? Let's give him robot limbs. That's fun and quirky, right? That's original. Blizzard. What the fuck? Who who said to themselves, "We're going to make a brand new race. We're going to make a brand new race next to Ocean Human, Cthulhu Elf, Fox Boy, alternate Time Lord Orc,
And Zandalari
fucking
trolls.
Zandalari Trolls. Zandalari Trolls, my god! Why did you put in the fucking mecha gnomes? Why? You literally could have had it be any race. You could have had it be a mecha human, a mecha troll, mecha tauren, mecha orc, mecha anything. The only reason you made it a mecha gnome is because gnomes are known for fucking working with shit. I don't care what the lore says. You can't convince me otherwise.
I mean, at least on the one upside, when you actually make your Mechanome, you can actually pick out what kind of augmentations they have.
Thank God. Thank God I get to pick what augmentations I get for my Build-A-Bear gnome. Thank fucking God, because if you didn't do that, this would be in a tier that doesn't exist on this fucking list. I will tell you that right now.
I mean,
This is bullshit.
I should mention that they're still not able to wear pants.
You hear that, gang? They're not able to wear fucking pants. You know who can wear pants? The Tauren. You know who also can wear pants? Every fucking race on this list.
Not
You know who
correct.
can't? Wait, who can't wear pants?
The dragons.
Yeah, but they're dragons. They have wings. They're cool. They don't. They get a pants exemption. All right. But my point is that besides one S tier race, every race in here can wear pants. Maidenless. Maidenless, the lot of you mechanomes. I bite my thumb at thee. Alright, rant over. So what did you think of my ranking?
They're pretty good.
I hope you respect my logic as someone who has not played WoW yet. I don't know enough to make that valid assumption. I don't think I ever am because I'm not going to have the patience to play through every single race. I'm just not. That's just how I am as a person. I'm hoping that I get to learn as we play, but I am definitely not going to be playing all this. Yes, maidenless, maidenless behavior, maidenless virgins don't wear pants. Only Gigabrain Chads wear pants, or are dragon people who don't need pants because they're such Chads. All right, I'm gonna say it right now. 2024 Darth Mechas, virgin autonomes, pantsless, maidenless. All right, give me 1 second here, gang, and we're gonna transition to the next tier list, which is
The class spec tier list.
ooh, okay. Let's do this. I am going to be relying heavily on your expertise here. Um, I'm trying to think. What were the so? How do the specs work? How does this work in comparison to other RPGs and stuff?
Okay, because first you get to pick your class, and then
Right.
within the class there'll be 2 to 4 specs depending on which class you are. You're,
So to equate it in D&D terms, essentially the specs are subclasses,
pretty
right?
much.
Okay, that makes sense. Just for the sake of ignore that, that's D&D stuff that you can't see. So for the sake of being fair, what are the classes? Like not the subclasses, but just the classes.
Okay, so in order for how they have them listed in here, we got first warrior,
Your
rogue,
rogue,
hunter.
or
Could you move it so I can see the rest of the specs they have listed
oh
here?
yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'll just move that
All
over to
right.
this one.
Then we got demon hunter.
Demon Hunter, which was released in Legion, right?
Yep.
Yeah, if you can identify a class that was released in expansion versus OG, I would appreciate that
All
because
right.
that is going to help me.
Okay. Then we got druid.
Druid,
Then death knight, which is Wrath of Lich King.
Lich King,
The invoker, which is dragonflight. Then paladin.
yeah,
Oh,
Dragon, White, Paladin.
priest.
Okay.
Monk, which is Miss Pandaria. Warlock.
Mop.
Oh,
Oh no, I was saying because you said Miss Pandera and I have it as an acronym and I have it as
mop.
MOP,
Yep.
MOP.
Mop. So then after monk is warlock,
Okay.
then mage, and then shaman.
Okay. So, So, forgive me if this is a lot, but what I would like to do is, if we can, I'd like to go with it class by class, just so it's a little bit more organized, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they have a list. They
Um,
actually have all the classes bunched together down there.
oh, perfect. So these are all next to each other.
Yes.
So, how many subclasses are there per, or is it the same for each class?
Uh, it's three for majority of them. The only exception is
Okay.
Demon Hunter and Druid.
Okay, cool. Okay, then I will rely on your expertise to assist me.
Okay.
Um, so let me see here. So what we'll do is we'll tackle it class by class. We'll just go over kind of a brief overview of the class, just so people can kind of gauge what does this class do, and then you can help me understand what each of the specs do.
All right.
Um, and I will base it on aesthetics and what I know already.
Okay.
Um, Warrior seems pretty straightforward. It seems like it's just your standard run of the mill fighter, hit things, jack of all trades in terms of combat, nothing fancy or unsafe. Would that be an accurate assessment?
It is not actually. They are not jack of all
Okay.
trades in this.
Cool. Cool. We're already off to an awesome start. What is a warrior?
Pretty much the rage fuel barbarian type deal. Actually,
Okay.
like
Okay.
like their
Okay.
resource is rage.
Right, right. Okay.
So their whole deal
Interesting.
is building up rage and spending it on bigger skills and attacks.
Okay. Cool. All right. Interesting. So that's really cool. So as someone who primarily knows a lot of these class things from D&D, that's very cool that that's not the fighter, because that's what I always assumed for the longest time. That's so cool. Okay. Um so what is where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Jesus. Um so are the warrior specs these three right here?
Correct.
All right, so for starters, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're just gonna put these in the middle, and we'll discuss them and kind of move them about. Um, so just for my sake, would you say that a warrior is a very basic class, or what would you classify a warrior in terms of tier?
It would depend a bit on which spec you go into because each spec does
Okay.
play fairly differently.
Okay,
Because
that's really cool.
the main caveat being like you can swap between the specs as long as you're outside of combat. So even though you make
Okay.
one character, you can be all three warriors depending on what fits your mood or what's needed.
That's actually really dope. I like that a lot. Okay.
Because before you have to go back to a capital city to do that, or pay an NPC to switch.
Right, right.
So
Okay,
it's quality of
cool.
life change.
Okay, cool. All right. So, what's this one right here?
Arms warrior.
Arms warrior. So, what does an arms warrior do?
Basically, they take a big ass weapon, a singular two-handed weapon, and their whole deal is to overpower.
So, they are bonk.
Yeah, like one of their primary skills is colossal smash, which the whole idea of it is like, oh, you got a shield? Too bad. I'm gonna hit you through the shield and weaken you for a little bit.
I cast bonk. I love
I
it.
cast fuck
Okay.
shield.
All right. So, I will say tentatively, just based on that, because I actually fallen in love with a game recently called Lords of the Fallen, and I have adapted what I can only describe as a bonk style cleric. So it's caught me in a very gracious mood. I'm gonna put this up at A tier for now. Um, not like top tier because we're saving that. I
Yeah.
suspect at least one or two classes will already be there, but it sounds like it's a pretty straightforward and fun class. You hit shit really hard. I love it.
Yeah.
Always essential for any really reasonable party. So what we got here?
Fury warrior.
Okay.
Their whole deal is dual wielding. They can either dual wield two
Ooh.
one-handed or two-handed weapons. And their whole deal is I might not be hitting you as hard, but I'm just constantly hitting you.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So for now, we'll leave that at B tier. Not drastically lower. But like I said, I have not appreciated. I don't really. how do I word this? Like with a rogue, aesthetically that makes sense in my brain. With the warrior, I'm not quite seeing it yet, but give me some time and that rank might go up. But for now, we'll leave it at B. So I think a very fair assessment. Um, we got a shield.
Yep, Protection Warrior, our first tank.
Ooh, I love me a tank. Talk to me, tank.
Yep, so their main deal is getting in the way, grabbing attention. Like, one of their skills is literally replaces charge with intervene, where you actually run to an ally to take hits for them.
Oh shit. Okay. Cool.
And
Okay.
pretty much their main tanking properties is either to ignore pain or build up additional armor to get hurt less.
Okay. Okay. Solid. I love being the tank. Um, HP is always fun. It sounds like a very interesting class. I think we'll rate it at A. Maybe move it up to S tier because you said it is the first tank. So we'll see kind of what the other tanks
I
look
mean,
like.
it's the first tank we're running across. Because
Okay,
there are
fair
other
enough.
class tanks that came out, because it would suck to literally have one tank. But it should be
Gotcha.
noted that
Okay.
it used to be the only valid tank originally.
Okay. So it was a bit of a workhorse
Yeah.
in terms of composition. Okay. You know what? That's a point in favor. Yeah, we'll still leave it at A, but I'm definitely thinking it might move up to S at some point.
All right.
All right.
Now we got the
The rogue is
rogues.
next. So we got three here,
Yep.
right? All right.
So first one we have there is Assassination Rogue.
Okay. That tracks.
Your main deal: get behind them and stab them for a lot of damage. So
Okay.
your main thing is just essentially assassination type skills, but in combat.
Okay. Do they have a lot of utility beyond that?
I mean, all of them do, but there's not really any utility one has over the other.
Right. Okay. Um. Hmm. Well, we'll leave that at C tier for now. I'm thinking I might up that later, but we'll leave it at C tier for now. We'll see what happens.
Okay, then second one we have there is Subtlety.
Okay.
I honestly don't have a clue what Subtlety is. It's like the one I don't see it too often.
Okay.
So I would actually have to Google search that one to see like what Subtlety is supposed to be. So let me just do that quick. There we go, Sub Rogue. Let's see. What skills do you even have?
We're learning in real time, gang. I love it.
Okay. Okay, so it's like the stealth secret type rogue where your main
Okay.
damage comes from popping out of stealth and doing a lot of damage quick,
Okay.
but that can't be the whole thing because you only can turn invisible once every 3 minutes while you're in combat.
Huh. Hang on.
I'm just looking through
Let's
the
see.
rotations and stuff, and Wowhead,
Yeah.
as it is. Because Rogue didn't originally have much variety between their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't even know why I'm bothering looking at stuff. I won't even know what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, we're looking at things like, oh, they have the skill like acrobatic strikes that they all had, cold blooded, secret technique. It's like,
so the only thing that they mentioned when I initially looked for it is that they have short cycles of high damage. I don't know if that makes sense
that's
to
what it
you.
seems like.
So what would the difference between that and the assassin be?
The assassin's able to do it consistently because their main damage comes from hitting from behind. Where this seems to be
Okay.
more of coming when you're coming out of invisibility or stealth.
Okay. Honestly, that's and I don't think it's fair to the subtlety rogues. If we ever get any subtlety people watching this after the fact, if you could direct us to a resource, because I'll be more than happy. I don't know about
Well, I'm
Zealot
looking
here,
through the
but
resource right
I'll
now.
be
I just
yeah.
let's see, because
Um.
echoing reprimant, deal blank damage, physical damage to an enemy, extracting anima to anima charge a combo point, and then Okay, so yeah, their whole deal is bursts of damage through whatever they can from their trade secrets. That's pretty
Okay.
much their deal.
Huh. That doesn't sound terribly impressive.
And, I mean, to be fair, it's like the one rogue I see the least of.
Which is fair. All right, well, should we rate it a D or an E, you think?
Your choice. It's your tier list.
Honestly, it sounds kind of E-ish just because we don't really have a lot of clarification. Like, sure, the C tier rogue is C tier, but like, it's very straightforward. You stab people in the back, you deal a shit ton of damage. I don't really know what the subtlety rogue brings over the assassination rogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm gonna leave it for the time being. Um, we have a rapier here. It looks like.
Yep. Because this is actually the one class that actually had to be renamed.
Okay.
It actually got reworked in Legion. So originally it was the
Okay.
combat rogue,
Okay.
where pretty much all your primary combat skills would be back when you could work on a skill tree through all the classes. And
Right.
eventually in Legion, it got renamed the Outlaw.
Okay.
It's the pirate class.
Ooh.
So you got
Okay.
swashbuckling, you have a gun,
Ooh. Okay.
and the gun's not even a
Okay.
piece of equipment. It's literally a skill where you just pull it out and just pop a shot.
You, John, I have a very important question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that this is a class where you cast gun?
I mean, aside from the fact that it's not technically magic, you literally pull out like a handheld musket and shoot him between the eyes, and then
But
you just
but you're
kind of
tell
put it away immediately and stab him again.
but but you're telling me that more so than any other class listed so far, I could shout out in chat, "I cast gun," and it would work?
Yep.
Mm. Oh yes, top of B tier, easily. Easily. Maybe even low A tier, depending on what we see here.
Yeah, because another thing about their flavor is that they're supposed to be able to like tempt Fae to get an up in combat as well.
Ooh. Okay, I like that. All right. We got the hunter.
Yep.
I'm assuming these are the three?
Yes, it is.
Cool beans.
So first one we have the marksman hunter.
Okay, seems very straightforward.
Yep, pretty much you're just a hunter who's really good at shooting people with your gun, crossbow, bow and arrow, whatever weapon that floats your boat.
Okay. Um, you know what? Not a lot to say. Solid C tier. It's safe. It's safe. It's easy to understand. It's not flashy or, in your face. Um, but it makes sense. Fuck it, C tier.
Yep, and then we got survivalist hunter, one that actually got
Okay.
reworked in Legion.
Okay.
Well, did not get a name change, but got changed. Before it
Okay.
was all about trapping and doing all sorts of other survival type things to get your damage output out,
Right, right.
like
Okay.
dealing with poisons and such. But now you actually wield a spear and you're up in the front with your pet, doing coordinated attacks along with your pet.
Okay. Cool. All right. I could dig it. Um, so it sounds like it's kind of similar in the sense of the assassination rogue in that they are up front and they deal damage
Yep.
primarily.
I
Okay.
mean, a good portion of the classes are going to be upfront dealing damage.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Because
Um,
unless you're ranged or a healer, you're literally right up there stabbing the leg of the big bad.
very true. Very true. Okay, we'll leave it at C tier. I say top of C tier. That sounds pretty cool.
Yep. And then we got the
All right.
Beastmaster Hunter.
Ooh, I'm already liking this.
All right. Main deal is that they actually have two hunter pets that they can call upon for combat, as well as calling in other wild animals to help in combat.
Oh, like Rexar in uh Founding of Durotar.
Pretty
How he had the
much.
ability to summon the hawk and the boar and shit.
Yep.
Oh fuck yeah. No, easily bottom
Like
of B
Rexar would
tier.
be Rexar would be now like a mix between Beastmaster and Survivalist.
Okay.
Since Rexar is up
Cool.
there punching too.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm so one of my big biases that I have to that you have to help me keep in check is that I'm a big fan for summon factions summon classes in particular. Like I love summoning units. I love like necromancers, I love cultists, all that good shit. So, you know what? That's a solid B from me. I think that's fair.
Okay, I'm actually checking one thing here for the next class because I just need to remember which icon is which.
Okay.
Let's
Cause
see.
I'm assuming that these are demon hunters.
Yep, because we got Vengeance and shoot, what's the name? Havoc.
Havoc. Okay.
And Wowhead does not have their icons there. Okay, so I'm gonna say that first one's Havoc, second one's Vengeance.
So the green one, so the flamey one is Havoc, you said?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Wing is Vengeance, Horn's Havoc. Got it. Okay. Horn for Havoc. Havoc for Horn. Got it. Alright. Talk Demon Slayer to me. Or Demon Hunter to me.
Okay, because Vengeance is the tank class.
Okay.
Your whole deal is pretty much big demon, big tank.
Okay.
Like you do, Metamorphosis is a temporary cooldown, so you're not able to
Okay,
stay.
so you transform into a demon.
Yeah, kind of like how Illidan could in the Warcraft 3.
Oh, that's dope.
Like they
Okay.
both get it. It's just more of what skills you kind of come with
Right,
it.
right, right, right.
Because
Okay.
like I believe Metamorphosis is like a 3 minute cooldown. You're in there for like 30 seconds or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah, but you also got like Demon Spikes, Immolation Aura, all sorts of things. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Havoc's main, or the tank one's main deal is that they're able to rip pieces of their target's soul off to eat the soul bits for health.
Ooh, that's dope. That's dope.
Or
Okay.
to use it for like a big spell to do damage.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, what about the Vengeance?
Uh, pretty much, pretty much is just more of a damage variant where they build up demonic fury, so knock off rage, to do damage
Okay.
as well. Like they
Okay.
still get immolation aura, they still get metamorphosis. It's just so pretty much you just have tank variant and damage variant of demon hunters. They did
Okay.
not really differentiate them too heavily.
Gotcha. Okay. So I am a bit of a tank nut, as you can probably tell. Um, but yeah, that's really fucking cool. I love that shit. Also, I'm moving the Beast Hunter up, I think, to top of B tier, because again, I love summoning shit.
I mean, to be fair, for hunters, you can actually have a pet as all three specs, and the pet's permanent. It's just Beastmaster is able to call out more temporarily.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I love
Oh yeah,
that
and
shit.
also there's also exotic pets that you can get that only the Beastmaster can tame, like dinosaurs.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay.
And
Okay.
let's see, there's also robotic animals you can tame. Uh,
Oh, I swear to
undead.
God. Ah, did they auto gnome fucking animals?
To
Or
be
is it purely mechanical?
like pure. I mean, to be fair, there's some
Okay.
cyborg animals, but they were around before the mechagnomes.
Got it. Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, but they also made it so that there's racial things too, where the undead automatically know how to tame undead animals. Gnomes are
Right.
able to automatically tame robots.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're not those races, you have to actually find like a book to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Dope.
All right, all right. And now the next four we have here are the druid.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I do vaguely remember this. These two are the transformation druids. These are the magical caster druids, right?
Uh, they all transform in our
Oh.
magic.
Oh, I thought it was only these two that primarily did it.
They keep changing shit.
Oh Lord. Okay. So Druid is nature and animals and shit.
Yep.
For those who don't know. All right, what we got for the Druid?
Okay, so we got Guardian Druid, which is the bear tank. You're a big
Okay.
bear. The
A
first
bear.
one.
A bear.
Yep, bear.
Bears, 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 bears.
I mean, pretty much you're
Um,
mauling shit and you're a bear.
you know what? I can't in good conscience put that any lower than B tier. I don't care how garbage the skins looked. Bears, 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 bears,
Yep.
bears, bears.
Then we got Feral, the cat druid.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the most
Okay.
overpowered specs in Warlords of Draenor due to an oversight.
Would you mind giving them trivia?
Pretty
Or is
much
there enough time?
in Warlords of Draenor, there was an they gave pretty much talent system was different back then, and the talent that they had gave them like a Saberin form where they actually were like an upright humanoid cat and allowed them to use all their spells while in cat form.
Oh
Also,
no.
yeah, and that ended up being drastically overpowered. But
Oh.
it was there in release, and they couldn't get rid of it until next expansion. And now people
That is
want it
the
back, even if it's just a skin.
it is true. That is the true horror of Warlords of Draenor. I cast Kitty Claw. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It's definitely not E tier, but I don't think it's quite C tier for me because you're a stealthy cat.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, Hunter kind of does that already, and I also get to have a pet with me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just what's appealing to me personally.
All right. Then we got Restoration Druid, the one that uses nature magic to heal
All right.
and can turn into a tree to do it better.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah.
I'm sure you showed me this with the alternate skins, but that's just
No,
funny.
no.
Like, is it like a treant or is it just a straight up tree?
Kind of. Well, there's two of different ones. There's like the Trent, like the small little ones that you can summon in Warcraft 3, and then the big one that you could turn into on a cooldown.
That's funny. All right, you know what? That's top of C tier. That's funny. Leave my friends alone, bitch.
And now we
Anyway.
have Balanced Druid, the Chicken Druid.
Okay.
Yep, you turn into a giant boomkin chicken who shoots people with sun and moon magic.
That's that moon bear chicken looking thing, isn't it?
Yep.
If I remember correctly. Oh my God, yes. That's. Fuck.
There's also an alternate option where you can make it so that you just turn into like a celestial star form of your character model if you prefer instead.
Oh, that's actually dope. All right, for the power of meme, but also the aesthetic freedom, I'm putting that in A tier because that's funny. I cast chicken.
Yep. And now we got the
Oh,
Death Knight.
just gonna preemptively put these here real quick. Just to put that there for no reason at all. Zealot, could you explain what these classes do?
Alright, so first one we got is Frost Decay. Pretty much
Yeah.
using ice magic to enhance themselves physically, as well as
Okay.
conjuring small blizzards around themselves.
Right. Okay.
They
That
also have
tracks.
the ability to summon a frost worm to basically frost breath in front of them.
Oh. Does it show the frostworm and everything, or is it just an AoE with a breath attack from
The
above?
frost worm does show up and dive in.
Yes. I'm sorry, but that's S tier shit for me.
Like
I
it's not
love
full
that shit.
size just for screen
Obviously. Oh,
clutter's sake.
obviously, but
And the
yeah.
frost worm skill is called the Breath of Sindragosa.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, that gives me feelings. All right, what's next?
Second one is Unholy Death Knight.
Which makes sense, considering it is a Death Knight.
Yep. Its whole deal is plagues and summoning the undead.
Yes. Now, is that better or worse than turning into a chunky demon? That is the question.
Because if you want more clarity on what kind of things you summon, you've got a skill called Apocalypse where you actually pop wounds off an enemy to turn those wounds into undead to attack them. You can summon
Okay.
Abomination. You actually have a permanent zombie pet with you at all times.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay.
And you can even turn that into a giant ass abomination thing.
Oh shit. Okay.
You can summon a
Would you
gargoyle
say?
and your
Oh, fuck yes.
and the gargoyle's temp, and the last skill they get is Army of the Dead, where you actually summon like 8 different zombies at once that all just bum rush your target. And if you
That's
spec yourself
amazing.
correctly, you can also summon undead mages to go along with them.
That's crazy. Um, so is there anything to justify Havoc being above the Undead Death Knight, or do you
Literally
not
your
think so?
choice.
Hmm. I'm just asking for your insight because I think both are pretty cool, but oh
I mean,
god,
to be
that's so
fair, out of the
cool.
3 Death Knight specs, Unholy's my main.
That's true. Okay, fair enough. So we're gonna go for
So
that.
bias.
Um, okay. And this is the Blood Knight, or
Yep,
this is
the
the Blood
tank.
Death Knight. Okay. Hmm.
Basically focuses on you on basically healing themselves through damage like a vampire kind of deal.
Hmm. Honestly, not S tier. And the reason why I say that, right, is because with these two, when you think of Death Knight, or when I think of Death Knight, I think of Frozen Throne. I think of Arthas,
Yep.
right? I don't think of a vampire. I think it makes sense for vampiric elements to be in a Scourge faction, but I think it could have been done better as a race rather than a class, if that makes sense. But that also would be balancing issues and shit.
Because
Um,
the 2 skills that I actually do remember for Blood Death Knight,
yeah.
Bone Shield, where you actually rip the bones out of your opponent and they swirl around you to block damage,
Brother, ooh, I love it, but ooh.
and Blood Leech, where if you actually overheal off of it, you actually pop a leech off of you that'll just hang by your side and heal you when you need it by self-sacrificing itself back into you.
Oh Lord. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can in good conscience rate it any higher than A. But I'm just trying to think because it is a tank. I love tanks. It is also a Death Knight. You know what? Next to the other tank, I think is good. I think
Okay.
that's a solid choice. Um, but yeah, I am keeping track of this because I am going to be playing the free trial here soon, gang. Um, so I am going to be very curious about what class to pick. Kaya, hello.
I should know that you don't actually unlock your subclass until like either level 10 or 15. I don't remember where they have
Okay,
it locked at.
I get you. Okay. It's still cool. It's still nice to kind of see where my preferences are going to be because that's
Yeah.
going to be helpful to me, I think.
Alright, now we got the Invoker, which you cannot play because it's locked behind Dragonflight.
So that is automatically going to bring it down, but it's probably going to be brought back up by how cool it is. So
Well, to
what
be
does it
fair,
do?
once the pre-patch hits, it probably will be available.
Question, is this the only invoker class
Nope, all 3.
or oh, these three right here?
Yep.
Cool. I am thinking about starting to play WoW. Yes, Kaya. Unfortunately, I was trying to plan on starting the trial with Zealot today, or with Zealot on the call with me. But I'm just really out of it mentally and physically, so I don't think I can give it the attention and honestly giving it an appraisal if it's something I want to get into and invest money in, like I would be able to another day. But it is installed. I have gotten it put on my computer, all hundred something gigabytes,
Yeah. I mean,
flashbacks to COD.
hey,
Um,
at least this one's out of how long running the game is and all that content's still there versus, hey, look at how good our graphics are.
It's not even that. It's the same fucking game released all over again. Yeah, that's my hot take. Take it, COD fans. Fuck. Anyway, I'll pray for you.
Uh,
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's because I'm getting into WoW or because I'm not sure if I want to play it, but thank you. All right. So, because the Invoker is so new, what does the Invoker do? What is the Invoker?
okay. The Invoker actually has one DPS spec, one healing spec, and the first support spec, as they want to call it, but it's still classified as DPS for queuing's sake.
Okay.
So, first one, we have Devastation. where they use a
Okay.
combination of red
Well,
and
no, but what is the Invoker as a class? That's what I was asking. As a whole.
basically Dragon Mage.
Ooh,
Like they're
okay.
actually using the powers of the Dragon Flight.
Okay, okay. We're gonna tentatively put these fuckers up
Yep.
here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the first one, Devastation, where you're primarily using blue and red Dragon Flight magic to do damage and burn and chill your opponents.
Which is fire and ice, if I remember correctly, right?
The life and magic, like literally the Dragonflight
Okay.
powers of the dragon
Gotcha, gotcha.
aspects.
Okay, cool.
And
Very cool.
yep,
Okay. Um, you know what? That's how does it attack? Like, what does it look like visually?
it depends on which attack, because we have like basically swiping claws to do like a short range magic claw attack where it actually magically slashes them from a distance.
Okay.
Got blue energy beam dragon breath.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Also got literally coughing up fireballs that just lob themselves over to do AoE damage.
I might have to put this one in S tier because this is reminding me a lot of the Elden Ring Dragon Cult incantations. I don't know if you've seen any of those at all.
Nope.
But basically, for a lot of the attacks, they're all breath weapons. And what you basically do is you activate the incantation, and you're replaced on the screen with this like disembodied spectral dragon head that breathes the associated breath attack. Or you also have this one where you take a swipe with your arm, but in its place is manifested a realistically sized dragon arm in its place that takes the swipe.
Okay.
That's what it's giving me images of, which sounds really fucking cool. If you get the chance, look up Dragon Cult Elden Ring
All right.
incantations. They're all pretty cool. Um, that's what it's giving me vibe of. So for the time being, it's bottom S tier. Oh, Dragon Communion. Thank you so much, Brianna. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I'm so out of it right now. That is that. Dragon Cult is lightning and stuff. Dragon Communion is what you need to look up, gang. Sorry about that. My bad. Thank you. Anyways, continue.
I'm double checking the name of the second spec here because it
Okay.
just escaped me for a moment.
No, and it is. And you'll be interested about this, Witch Brenna. I will actually be doing my new Game Plus stream soon. Because for those who don't know, I finally beat Elden Ring completely, meaning both the OG game and the DLC. I haven't been the same since.
Okay, got it. Second one is augmentation.
Augmentation. So this is the pylon looking one.
This, yeah, support. It's the support
Okay,
one
okay.
where you're primarily
Okay.
using bronze and black dragon magic to enhance your allies to have them perform better.
Okay. Cool, cool. Automatically bottom of A tier for that. Okay. You know what? We'll put that in the middle of A tier, I think. We'll have that be the third from the top.
All right, and then last one's preservation, which is the healing one.
Okay.
Primarily using green dragon magic for some reason, even though it's the Emerald Dream to heal.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and also
Actually,
red dragon magic too for life.
oh yeah, no, for sure. Um, honestly, I don't think I could put Invoker classes any lower than bottom A, as far as that goes. Because that just sounds really cool. Like I said, I think I might be a little biased just because it does remind me of the Dragon Communion a lot. I'd be very interested to see it in game at some point. I'll probably look it up after we're done. But that sounds really cool based on your description.
All right, and now we got the paladin.
All right, which ones are the paladin here?
All three, because it should
Okay,
not all be groups of three from here on.
okay, yeah. Just let me know if that's not the case.
Well, we're already
Since
past all of them that are
defeating
not
Elden
three.
Ring, same though. I am a changed woman. Yes, like gang. I'm gonna take a quick side tangent, Zealot, and I'll just say that Elden Ring is an amazing game. Do not play it if you are not willing to commit. It is a commitment. but it is a fun commitment. Anyway, continue. This is the paladin. So, what is the difference between a paladin and a priest?
Pretty much combat practice, combat training,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
Paladins more willing to go up there and fight with their physically, where priests are just going to be pure casting, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right.
So first
What
one
we
will be
got here?
the Holy Paladin, the healer spec,
Okay.
which got reworked in Legion. Yay!
Was it a good or a bad rework?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay, I will ask you.
Because originally their main gimmick was that they would be able to apply beacons onto allies, and
Right.
any like depending on how you spec'd out, you either got one or two. If you had
Okay.
one, it would basically whoever you had the beacon on, any healing you do, they would automatically get 50% of the healing echoed to them. If you had two, it'd be 30% to two people, which would allow you
Okay.
to basically spread out the healing more effectively.
Okay.
In current, you're now a short range healer, so everyone just started calling him the shotgun healer.
Oh God. Okay.
Because there's even a built-in mechanic where the closer you are to your target, the more healing they get.
Okay.
Hence,
I could
shotgun healer.
see. I could see how that could be a positive and a negative change.
Like they
A
did.
negative in the sense that it now requires you to be very up close, but because it is a combat class, I can see how incentivizing you to be closer to the battlefield would be helpful for a healer. So I kind of get I can get both sides initially, I think.
Yeah, they did bring back the beacon, but the beacon mostly acted as a secondary distance measurement. Where if the beacon's closer, it'll be based on how close the beacon is versus how close the paladin is.
Right. I get you. Cool. Okay. Um, you know what? We'll put that in the middle. Um, because it seems like it's a solid option. It seems like it's kind of in between wanting to be a warrior and wanting to be a healer, in my opinion. But it's still a solid choice.
All right, and now we got
Uh,
Retribution Paladin, the
Ooh,
DPS
this sounds
spec.
juicy. Okay. Okay.
Using a two-handed weapon, you're going up there and just hitting them with it. You also have like some holy magic go along with it to throw hammers of light, literally shooting
Yes.
off holy ash from your sword to in like a frontal cone wave.
Uh, I cast Bonk at 5th level. Bonk. I'm sorry, Zealot. You're just gonna have to deal with Bonk whenever it comes up because I have become infatuated with that now. Uh, Bonk. All
And
right,
now we
what we
got
got next?
Protection Paladin,
Protection. Okay.
the Tank Paladin.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, the best way to call them it would be the AOE tank, where literally just doing your stuff, you're going to be throwing shit everywhere. It's like, oh,
Okay.
you got stuff around you? I throw this hammer, which will just spin around me as it fans out, like in Diablo 2. Consecrate ground. The ground around me is holy, so now you take damage, and I get healed off of it.
Ooh.
I bash you
Okay.
with my shield, so I get more armor. Just, oh yeah, you also get to Captain America your shield too.
Ooh. Okay. Interesting. I don't think it's as high as Bonk, but it definitely sounds like
It's a
it
lot
could
of
be a
shield
very
bonk. Shield and
yeah.
hammer bonk. The tank.
Mm. So you're telling me, you're telling me that not only do I get the benefits of Shield, but I get the benefits of Bonk?
Yeah.
I'm down. All right. We'll put that towards the top A tier. In retrospect, I think I'm moving the Blood Knight down to here. Actually, we'll move that there.
You want to hear one of the funniest things about the paladin? One
Yeah.
of the shared spells that they have is called, I think it's called Execution Sentence, where
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
this giant holy hammer just slowly falls down with smaller hammers rotating around it as it just slowly goes down to the target.
All right.
Like all of them have that as a skill for either damaging or healing.
Okay.
Just picture like a giant hammer slowly coming down as smaller hammers are like going up around it, like it's passing through them.
Right. Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. All right, and now we
All
got the
right.
priest.
And these three?
All right, first one's discipline priest.
Okay.
They heal by doing damage.
What?
Yeah, they do like subpar DPS damage to do healing off of penance by basically they'll apply a buff to an ally, and while that buff's on there, any damage they do will cause healing to that person. It is it routinely goes
That's.
from either the most ridiculously overpowered thing in the game to the weakest thing in the game. There is like no in between.
It seems. Is that reliable?
It depends on when you're playing it. Because, like I said, it's either the most ridiculously overpowered or the weakest. Like, they still have, like, some general healing spells, but it's not going to be as
Right.
strong as their damaging rotation for it.
It honestly seems like the paladin's a better healer than that shit.
Well, the priest has two healing specs.
Okay. I think tentatively I'm leaving it at the bottom of E tier, but it sounds like it has enough use that I wouldn't necessarily say that it's F tier. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah. Okay, well, they also
Okay.
have, like, abilities to put barriers around targets. So they're more like preventative damage versus healing when it comes to when they're, like,
Okay.
really strong.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just leave it at the bottom of E tier for the time being.
Yep. And now we got the Holy Priest.
All right.
Literally, holy spells, holy words. They have a bunch of big healing spells.
Okay. How are they in terms of healing?
Like, if you can remember where all your buttons are, because they almost have a healing spell for almost every situation.
Oh shit. Okay.
They can routinely be the best healers, but it takes practice and memorization of where your stuff is.
Okay.
Because you'll have
Um.
like big version and small versions of each kind of healing.
Okay. We'll put
And
that at the bottom of C tier then.
like one of the big calling cards for them though is that when they die, they actually turn into an angelic spirit for the next 15 seconds to keep healing after death before
Ooh.
they actually
Okay.
die out. There is a talent
Okay.
that gives you like a second life afterwards, but people don't generally take it for some reason.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
I'll still stick by that.
like
I'll
they,
I'll I'll still leave him at the bottom of C tier, I think.
yeah, because they got like some variety on how you can spec out, but generally people more focus on like the actual core spell rotation rather than the cooldowns you can grab.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And then we got Shadow Priest.
This is Shadow Priest, correct?
Yep,
Cool.
pretty much using old god magic to do damage. Curses, plagues,
Okay.
tentacles, old god minions, the works.
Minions, you say?
Only like two, and even then
Okay.
they're not commonly brought out.
Okay. Top of C tier, I think. It's a nice little twist on the priest, but honestly, if you're gonna priest, you might as well just be the healer that doesn't have the subpar healing option, in my opinion.
I mean, if you want to bring the Shadow Priest to more of a direct parallel, it'd be more like a cultist priest.
Okay.
All right, and now we got monk.
All right.
So first one we got Windwalker, the DPS spec.
Okay.
You're running around punching stuff. You got Earth, Wind, and Fire to turn into like the Earth, Wind, Fire versions of yourself as they all echo your
Oh,
abilities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Bottom of B tier. Easy.
Yep.
Nice
And
safe
they got
choice.
Fist of Fury, a bunch of kick skills. There's a couple of different ways you can spec them out. They just
Okay.
kind of suffer from inconsistent power because Blizzard doesn't know how to balance them.
I get you.
Then we got Brewmaster,
Yes.
the tank. You're throwing beer, throwing kegs.
Yes.
The artifact weapon literally is Chen's whole deal with the staff of the keg on the back.
Yes.
The one of the things that's kind of weird about that people get used to pretty quickly is like their main tanking mechanic, which is stagger,
Right.
where a percentage of the damage you take isn't instantly taken, but is applied to you as a damage over time dot.
Okay.
So, like, if you take 100 damage, 20 of that damage will just be applied to you over time rather than instantly.
Okay.
And there's ways to manage it more effectively with skills. And
Yeah.
then our last one is Mistweaver. We're
Okay.
actually like we're pretty much using like the wind and mist to actually
Okay.
heal your targets.
What?
It's kind of weird to explain without the visuals.
Right.
So let me see if I can get like a good visual for you.
Okay. Is it still a healer? Is it a
It's a healer.
DPS? Okay. So most likely we're looking at least C tier, maybe D tier, depending on how this is. But the fact that a visual aid is required is making me
Because it's
question it.
because like green mist that just comes out of your hands or a jade statue you put down that just goes to your target for how your healing show is presented in game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, that just seems like a sign of things to come. If I need a visual aid to better understand it.
It would kind of help. Because, like, okay, here's one of, like, two of the statues actually healing one person.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's a small picture. Let me
Yeah.
see. Damn.
But you can kind of see the mist, quote unquote, going to the person.
Okay. Okay. So, so let me ask you this. What are the, does it have any benefits as opposed to the other healers that we've gone over, which
It
are, the priest and the paladin?
it is very good at group healing compared to the
Okay.
other ones.
Okay.
As
And
there's
what would you say is its drawback?
its single target healing output is a bit of a struggle, so it's more like good for raid healing versus dungeon healing.
Okay. Honestly, I would put that there. Yeah, I'd say it's just one above the healing cleric or the healing priest. Um, I just don't know the significance of raids versus individual combat, so I could be getting this completely twisted
I
for
mean,
all I
raids
know.
are primarily the end game content,
Okay.
but it does depend on how what kind of content you like. So it's up to you, really.
Which is fair. And I think this is a situation where I won't be able to assess which stuff I like more until I do it.
Yeah,
So, for the time being, this is my definitive list because in my experience, I don't really have a lot of people to play with that I trust. So I would much rather do singles. I'd much rather trust single stuff than I would group stuff, in my opinion,
okay.
personally. Um, so yeah.
Now we got the warlock,
Warlock,
my
warlock,
class.
warlock. All right, you are an expert in this class, sir.
Yep.
Educate me.
All right. So first one we got is destruction warlock.
Okay.
Basically, you're using fire and fel to just do massive spells. Well, where you do
Okay.
like some small spells to build up to the big stuff,
Okay.
and they're the ones that get the infernals.
Ooh, that's automatic B tier. I
Like
love the Infernal so
like
fucking much.
warlocks all get like a pet that they can basically summon out as like a demon pet type deal. Infernals are a
Yeah.
temporary cooldown pet, and
Okay.
and there's like two different ways you can spec into it because there's an infernal called blasphemy that you can get and have come out after some of your big spells will automatically come out. Or there's the
Okay.
manual one where if you spec it in right, you can actually cause multiple infernals to come out and help you fight.
Ooh, I like that. I like that possibility. We're gonna put you there, buddy.
Yeah, I saw one guy get up to 6 infernals at once.
Jesus. All right.
Second, we have affliction.
Okay. This sounds like it's a debuff warlock. Am I right in that assumption?
I mean, it's curses.
Okay.
So you're pretty much using magical curses to do damage over time.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep, yeah, that's pretty much their main deal is that they're just spreading curses to kill you over time.
But does it actually like have any negative like stat effects, or does the opponent still hit me just as hard? They're just hitting me just as hard, but also taking a little bit of damage here and there.
Um, it's more than a little bit of damage because that's actually where the primary
Okay.
damage source comes out of. But there's a separate set of curses that all warlocks get called weakness and tongues that can either slow them down or cripple them for verbally.
Okay.
But all three warlocks get that.
Okay. Okay. We'll put it at the top of C tier for now. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my judgment so far. We'll put it at the top of C tier, I
All
think.
right, and this is actually my spec, Demonology.
Okay. Ooh, I like that name.
Got reworked in Legion. So,
Okay.
and this is like one rework I can't blame them for doing, but I'm not happy about it.
Okay. At least you can admit it.
Yeah, because pretty much Demonology actually had Metamorphosis up to Legion,
Okay.
where they would act.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, where you actually got to become a big demon and just send out big demon spells.
Gotcha.
Even when this
Okay.
came out, it's like we can't have two different classes with Metamorphosis, so Demonology loses it, even though you literally had it since Burning Crusade.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. I could see why you'd be mad about that though.
Yeah, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I imagine.
And yeah, but now it's a minion spawn class.
Ooh.
So
Talk.
they get a unique demon that only they get, and
Right.
all their
Okay.
spells are primarily focusing on shitting out as many imps as possible, summoning demon dogs.
Oh, the fucking Fellhounds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I'm liking that shit.
and then there's one skill that actually is getting removed in Dragonflight, the demonic portal, where while it's out, whenever you spend your soul shards, it actually just shits out another demon with a chance of actually summoning one of the prior raid bosses, Prince Malchazar.
No shit.
Yep.
That's funny. All right. That's top of A tier at least.
Yeah, that's getting removed sadly, but we're getting
Yeah, that's
another
why
thing
it's
in the
top of A
course where
tier.
we
If
are
they
actually getting the ability to summon Sargeras's dogs.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. You know what? We'll put that at top of A tier. We'll put that bottom S tier. We'll do that.
We also got the floating
Okay.
skull weapon.
Yeah, that is true as well.
And now we
All
got the
right.
mages. So first we got Frost Mage.
All right.
Ice magic, pretty much.
Okay.
And okay, so one thing that does bemoan me a bit is that they did take away one of the core features of Ice Mage in a recent expansion. Because
Okay.
because you know the water elementals that Jaina can summon in 3?
Yeah.
That was a pet that water Ice Mages could have. And
Oh,
they
okay.
took that away.
Who'd they give it to?
They just took it away.
Aw. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, their big skills are pretty much, as they're casting spells, they'll spawn icicles around them that you can combine into one big one and shoot it off, or have them shoot off individually. As like their
Okay.
most visually given skills. But yeah,
Okay.
everyone was sad
Okay.
about the loss of their water elemental to the point where
Oh.
they actually went to like their favorite spots, and for like the role players.
Aw. Damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What are? Because I'm assuming with mage there's a reason to pick ice over like the other ones. Like, what is that in this case?
Yeah, your spells can slow, and if you freeze your target, you do more damage.
Okay.
Like that's pretty much it. That's basically the main thing with ice magic is it's ice but magic.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. I don't. Because
Because I
like,
think the main thing is like the icicles that you spawn in, manage those. I think that's the
yeah,
main thing. I
yeah,
just never really got into ice frost mage.
I get it. Like, it's ice. Yeah, I'm gonna rate it D because that's doesn't sound very appealing to me. Because like, Death Knight already has ice, and
But
it's a
mage was
fucking Death
first.
Knight, huh?
Mage was the first class between the two.
Which is fair. Which is fair, but I mean, Ice Mage ran, so Death Knight could walk. So
I mean, if this also could help a little bit, we're never getting necromancers because of Death Knight. Because we have Unholy, it's like that's close enough to be a necromancer for you.
you're not wrong.
No, I want to be a caster that sends dead people at people. I don't want to be up there punching them too. I want to throw shit at them.
There's no way that they don't include a necromancer at some point. There's no
They've gone on
fucking
record
way.
and said that.
What?
Yep. We even have like a guy who literally could teach us necromancy from vanilla from all the way back then, and they just decided to just leave him on an island in the middle of a lake.
Wow. Blizzard, get on that shit.
Yep. All right. So next one is Arcane Mage.
Okay.
Oh, I fucking got this class. I can't believe the shit they did to this class.
Oh, it's bad.
Originally Arcane Mage is a very simple class. Whereas like
Right.
you get your basic rotation is like 3 to 4 spells depending on how you build it up. With the
Right.
main gimmick being you're managing your mana. Because it's the
Right.
most mana intensive class in the game where pretty much you're casting Arcane Blast and the more you
Right.
cast it, the bigger it hits, with the more mana it chunks out of you.
Okay.
So you're
Which makes sense.
Yeah, so you're basically using that. You have another spell to reset its cost, another spell that has a rather hefty long cooldown that recovers your mana,
Right.
and that would be primarily your thing. So your whole deal is you're slowly building up to a rocket launcher, but you need to keep track of your ammo.
Got it. Okay. That makes
That's how
sense.
it was.
Okay.
I need to actually check Wowhead quick just to see how fucked it got recently, because it keeps getting more and more
Lord.
fucked.
Oh Lord. Is this potentially going to be our only F?
Because they still have that mana preservation gimmick where your whole thing is based around keeping your mana topped off so that you don't kill yourself or
I'm sorry. What?
not kill yourself. Well, you're gonna die if you run out of mana because they're gonna run up there and punch you to death anyways.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. Rotation. Oh god, what the this is the only class that has a visual graph aid on how you're starting your fights now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so...
I am sorry, gang, if we have any arcane casters watching this, but we might be reaching our only F.
Because
in
I
this
like
entire
Arcane
fucking
Mage,
list.
but then this shit happened.
And
Yeah.
mind you, gang, being the only F tier is impressive in and of itself. Because look at what we're down to. And honestly, look at how few are below C tier. Like, legitimately, that's very impressive. I wasn't expecting this, to be honest.
Okay, so so your starting opening for basically bosses is 25 different spells for how you start your fight against a boss.
Jesus.
And that's the easy version. The hard version goes up to 30.
That's wild,
And if you,
bro. So you have
if you put into like the cast times and global cooldowns for how your skills work, that's a minute into the fight. You're still doing this shit.
Jesus, you're casting 30 fucking spells in a minute? What? Wait, am I understanding that correctly?
Oh, this is going over than a minute because cast times are a thing as for mage classes.
Jesus. God damn it, Arcane. No, you're no need to discuss further.
And that's the start of the fight.
The fuck? Yeah, F tier, banished to the Shadow Realm with you. Jesus. What the fuck?
Okay.
My
my
brother's...
Because every other class will have a section in the guide where it'll be like, here's your general rotation, learn this. This is generally what you're going to be doing for most of your fights unless something is required.
Right.
That version of Arcane Mage is okay, here's what you're doing for X amount of seconds all the way up to a minute and a half.
Right.
Like it just this
That's
class has just gotten
crazy.
so overly complicated and bloated that they
What
actually
the
came in
fuck?
for the next expansion. They said like, yeah, we realize this is a problem and people are hating this, but some people are loving it, so we're gonna figure out new options for the talent trees to make this better for
What the
everyone.
fuck? Fuck off. No, fuck off. I'm sorry. I barely understand that, and I understand that that shit is a mess. No, F tier to the Shadow Realm with you. Be
Like there are
gone.
some people who genuinely play it competitively because due to how complicated it is, it's able to pump up some of the insane damage.
If you're able to have your brain process for that long,
Yeah,
Christ,
exactly.
I have ADHD. There's no way in hell that I'm doing that shit. No. Uh-uh.
I mean, you could have the arcane mage ADHD.
Fucking hell. I love y'all who watch this, but if you're an arcane mage, you are a different breed entirely. My hat's off to you. F tier, Shadow Realm. Alright, what's next?
Fire mage.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yep, main gimmick is that they're more focused on landing crits. You're crit fishing, basically.
Okay.
If you're able to
Okay.
land 2 crits in a row, you get an instant cast proc of your biggest spell, which normally would take
Ooh.
like
Okay.
5 to 10 seconds to cast hard in a hard cast.
Okay. That's actually really cool. So it incentivizes being aggressive. So that way you can get more crits off, which allow you to proc off your big spells more often.
Pretty much. Granted,
Okay, I
crits
can
are a
appreciate.
percent chance unless you literally have a skill that forces a crit, which they
Yeah.
have like
Now,
one.
now see, that's actually a refreshing mage. Like the ice mage is, it's whatever. It's basically, in my opinion, gang. I cannot stress this enough. My opinion, a worse Death Knight that's ranged, in my opinion. But there probably are people who know how to abuse the shit out of it.
Oh yeah, there's people who know
Fire
how to
mage,
use the shit out of every single one of these classes.
right? But the
Like
fire
having
mage, it's simple, it's straightforward. Even my ADHD brain can understand it. More attacks, more crits, more booms. It's straightforward. It's easy. This is bullshit. It's like that fucking TikTok. This, this is art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. This, this is bullshit.
all right,
Anyway,
now we got our final class, the shaman.
and I will say, for what it's worth, the shaman weapon skins, which the weapon skins are going to be a tier list that I insist that we do at some point.
So, okay, so shamans. We got the three
Yes.
specs: one healer, 2 DPS. So we got the restoration
Okay.
shaman.
Okay. So tentatively, we're going to put those there. All right.
So restoration
So the
shaman,
healing.
you throw water at people to heal them. It's basically a lot of water magic to do healing,
You're a fucking waterbender.
pretty much. Because chain heal is literally a water type that just shoots from person to person. You have a water tome that you put down that can just pump out some small healing for you over time.
Right.
There's literally a heal where you just which basically looks like you throw a bucket of water on a person, where you just like throw your arm up and then there's just a sploosh of water on top of a person. It's a
All right.
lot of water.
All right. You know what? I was going to put it at the top of D tier, but I'm actually going to put it for just the visual. And I know that you said that this isn't the visual, but just the thought of just a shaman grabbing a bucket and just dousing someone. It says, "You got heals now." That just that makes me giggle. So, you know what? You know the fuck what? We're gonna put the assassin because in retrospect, there's a lot of better ways to do that. We're gonna put that. We're gonna have the healing quadfecta here. Just leave it there. All right.
All right, next
Next.
we have enhancement shamans.
Okay.
Because one thing I do appreciate with shamans is that they have three very different ways of playing.
Okay.
Because we got the healer, enhancement's actually a physical melee fighter, and enhancement's the spellcaster.
Okay.
So enhancement, you're more using the elements to enhance your physical powers, because you can either coat your weapon in magma, rocks, fire, thunder. You're
Ooh.
basically
Okay.
using the elements to basically hit shit harder with your weapon by putting the elements onto your weapon.
So, Zealot, would you say that you are You are bonking with the elements.
I mean, if you're really lucky, you can proc your winged bonk so you can bonk him again instantly.
That's A tier. That's A tier. Are you telling me I can be Captain Planet and bonk someone? Fuck yes.
Yeah, because you actually have a skill called Wind Fury where every time you hit someone, you have a percent chance to instantly hit them again.
Captain Planet bonk. Yes. Also, gang, fun drinking game at home. Every time I say bonk, take a shot. I would like to remind you that Darth Mechas is not responsible for any hospital bills that you may incur, as this is simply a suggestion and not actually condoned by anyone who is sane or rational in this call. Moving on.
All right, and our last class, Elemental Shaman. You're the
All
range
right.
caster that's using the elements to shoot them from a distance with lava, earth, lightning. Like, like he's the guy that actually has chain lightning.
Ooh, which is a very good spell. Very good spell. It was a great spell in fucking Warcraft 3. That's one thing. I just want to go on a quick tangent. That's one thing that I appreciate about WoW compared to other properties that go the MMO route, right? Like, a lot of MMOs, they kind of diverge, right? The consistency that they have between spells and abilities is amazing. I fucking love it. Continue.
Yeah, so pretty much elemental spellcaster from a distance that shoots elements from a distance, and if you build up enough Maelstrom energy, I think they call it, you can do like an instant cast big spell.
Ooh, okay. So, okay, so break it down for me again. What's the difference between the Fire Mage and this guy?
Fire Mage is crit fishing, so that if they land 2 crits in a row, they just instantly can cast their big spell.
Right. Okay.
And also, all their spells add additional burn over time depending on your stats.
Right. Okay.
Or or, or elemental shamans, you're using pretty much a variety of elements to essentially do damage over time. But when it comes down to practical gameplay, you're only using like 2 elements,
Right.
unless
But instead of fishing for crits, they just basically build up their resource.
a lot of
Right?
classes build up the resources over time.
Okay.
That's
Honestly,
that's going to be a theme with a lot of different classes when you look at the actual gameplay.
yeah. Honestly, I think that's a bit of an advantage. For me personally, I like the consistency because with the elementalist you have to build up a bar, or I'm just simplifying it because I don't know how it works, but I'm
It actually
assuming
is
you build
literally a
up like a
bar.
okay, yeah. So you fill up a bar and it's consistent. You never have to change, like it never changes at what rate you fill the bar beyond, obviously if you do more spells. Whereas with this, yeah, you can adjust the odds, but there's always a non-zero chance that you may not get 2 crits in a row. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay,
I
just add
find
in
that
a
consistency
little bit
better.
about the way something works. The consistent classes generally do start off stronger at the start of expansions, but the more other reliant classes will outpace them towards the end because stat growth happens over time.
Right. Okay. That's fair. Um.
And
That's
also, just a
tough.
side note, you know the wolves you can summon as Thrall in Warcraft 3?
Yeah.
Enhancement gets that.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
and if you actually do a specific glyph, you can turn the ghost wolves into ghost raptors instead. It's just a cosmetic difference, but it's an option. Every class has like a bunch of different glyphs that they can use to further give yourself personal flair.
So, I, I get to summon dinosaurs and I get to have an elemental bonk.
The thing of it is, though, that there was a point where summoning the wolves was actually a damage loss because they just didn't make up the difference in damage that you could have used to just hit them
Really?
again.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
there's a
crazy.
long history of classes that just got screwed over with some of the dumbest shit.
That's
Like,
insane.
and with me being a demonology warlock, demonology has gone through some of the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
Like, there was one point where it's like, okay, demonology is too strong. We're nerfing their damage by 30%.
Okay.
And then the next patch, another 10%.
Jesus.
And one of the key spells that we've had for the longest time, Doom, has gone through multiple expansions where it was literally the worst skill in the game to the point where nobody used it. And they kept buffing it, but it still kept being useless. And it might finally be usable in Dragonflight. It has not been used since Warlords of Draenor.
Jesus. All right, Brenna, thank you so much. We might be actually wrapping it up here because we actually hit the 2 hour mark with both of these. That's
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, you didn't miss much. We're just going to go over kind of some final words and maybe discuss plans, maybe just call it good. We'll figure it out. But thank you so much for swinging by. I appreciate it. Um, Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the kind words. Because she said we had a great stream. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, I have a question for you, Zealot. Seeing the class alignments here, are you surprised or not surprised by my choices?
A few of them I am, but some of them I'm not.
Okay. What is one example of the surprised choice?
Well, one I actually would have to say would probably be Discipline Priest, because I wasn't really sure where that would go since it's such a different class from everything else.
Right, that's this one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I just. Because the thing is, I don't know enough about the game and how the gameplay works, and I don't know how raids and all that stuff works to really rate it. Like, it's not necessarily a failure like fucking Arcane is, because Jesus fucking Christ, my ADHD. But, like, I can't in good conscience necessarily rate it a D because I just don't know enough about the game. And it's the same with the Subtlety Rogue. Like, we don't know enough about it to really rate it much better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of my logic with it. Um, I'm honestly just surprised that a lot of them are as high as they are. Like, I was expecting it to be a lot more kind of split. But it is. I'm surprisingly into a lot of the other classes, which I'm very pleasantly surprised by.
It says a lot that it's this good because normally there is a fairly good split between classes in game and the
Yeah,
specs, with very very rare exceptions.
yeah.
Like Affliction Warlocks actually were terrible in Dragonflight. It got to the point where like the top 1,000 player or top 100 Warlocks for
Right.
Mythic Plus had no Affliction Warlock in there.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like that says a lot about how bad a class is doing if the top 100 players and there's not one in there.
Right. No, for sure. Um, it also says, yeah, a lot of things that there's not really a majority of classes in one particular area. I mean, C has pretty much one of every single class except Invoker, Warrior, and Death Knight. Um, but it has Rogue, Monk, Priest, Shaman, Paladin,
Hunter.
Ranger. It has another Priest, Druid, Wizard, Warlock. Like, they're okay. That's actually really cool. It's got me excited. It's got me very excited for this game. Um, I have a
Yeah.
question. Are you surprised about any of the S tiers at all?
A bit on the Demon Hunter, but that's kind of going to be
Oh,
like a thing.
yeah, no, I loved the metamorphosis ability in Warcraft 3. I'm so sad because there's one design aspect that I absolutely find infuriating, right? So I get why they did it, but in Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne, when you're in a computer lobby like you make yourself, like a me versus AI, your heroes cannot get higher than level 5. And that always upset me because back in the day, I wasn't skilled enough to take on an AI that wasn't stranded on an island. Because, fun fact, for whatever fucking reason, when you put them on an island map, they do not use boats whatsoever.
Huh. Yeah,
I
because I
have
always
played
remember the
games.
AI being able to get up to hero level 10.
Yeah, the only way to get up to hero level 10 is if you start actually killing enemies after level 5. Like, you actually start killing computer opponents.
Okay.
It's really weird. It's arbitrary. I don't quite get it, but it's whatever. Um, I'm just trying to see if there's anyone that I would re-rank. Because Because honestly, like I said, the ones that I'm just disappointed by are just the ones that are just kind of boring. Like, okay, you're a panther, you're stealthy, you're a druid that can transform into an animal, and you're going to be stealthy. We literally have how many classes that can be stealthy? Ice mage.
I mean,
It's
if it helps with
cool.
the feral druid, a lot of their skills are about ripping open wounds and having them bleed out.
Okay,
I mean, but
that
then
is
again, that's
fair.
like a cat just ripping into their prey.
Right. No, exactly. It's not like a unique mechanic. Arguably, I've been debating on moving the Blood Knight down because the thing that drives me crazy about it is because of the aesthetic of the Scourge. And I ultimately understand that blood, that the vampiric aspect can make sense, but it's always just hit me the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'd say the only one that I am still unsure about is the Blood Knight, but just looking at this, so it seems like for sure, Death Knight is definitely going to be a class I pick for sure. Um,